Welcome everybody. Welcome.
Yeah, welcome. Thanks for having us.
I didn't have you. I didn't want you here. But today we thought we'd get together and talk a little bit about paramedic. Anna and Liam just recently finished and entered the field as paramedics. Erik is starting next week in paramedic school. Wow. I'm getting ready to apply. Yeah. So we thought we'd ask some questions based on how I can prepare myself, what Erik can expect day one next week. Really quick, let's just go around counterclockwise here. I'm Joey. I'm instructed today. Had a good day today on our final practicals with our students.
I'm Liam. I was not instructing today, but I hosted the last office hours and some online office hours trying to help them out. I did my best. I graduated from Malcolm X paramedic program in August, and I'm currently working my way into PSI, Paramedic Services of Illinois.
All right.
My name's Anna. I did instruct today also. You know, we had a good final practical. I graduated from paramedic school from Advocate Christ paramedic program in May of this year, last year, 2025, in May of 2025, and I'm currently at a new department, but I started also at PSI.
Nice. Well, I'm Erik. I also did not graduate paramedic school, but I am about to enter the paramedic program world up at St. Francis in Evanston, and I did graduate the EMT course here back in spring of 2023 here across the table with Liam as well.
Yeah, one of my classmates. I met him one Saturday and remembered his face at graduation. Yeah. That's Erik over there.
Yeah.
All right, so I typed up some questions. Paramedic school, what was it like applying to paramedic school? We hear a lot of different people say a lot of different things on where to apply, what mindset to kind of enter that. Some people say it's kind of aggressive. What was your guys' personal experience with applying, waiting for applications to drop, turning in paperwork? What was that?
No, I was talking to my buddy. He was talking about applying to Malcolm, and I don't have the college background, so I didn't have any credits. And for I don't know how many. I know for sure Malcolm. A couple other places you need some sort of bio credit, preferably a bio 116, which is anatomy phys. And I thought that was off the table for me, so I wasn't even going to apply there. I was going to wait till August and go to Christ, and I would have been in Anna's class. But then my buddy was like, "Nah, it's open till January, till about May." And I was like, "Oh, I can take that class in that time." So I spent a lot of time emailing a lot of people because there's the process of letting them know I'm taking this class. I don't have this credit right now. I have everything else I need, documents, immunizations, same thing as EMT school. I finished that. It was pending. I finished the class and got the credit. I was accepted, and then we would move on. I found it was very segmented at Malcolm. There was not a clear next step until you finished this step. I don't know how Christ was, but yeah, Malcolm, it was very stressful, and then I realized I was fine.
Christ was, I think, a little bit easier. It was very compact. It was like you submit your application end of June. In paper, in person there. Mm-hmm. So none of it was online in the beginning. You have to actually show up.
Yeah.
You show up, you see a very tired looking Marty in the room. Just sad that he has to still be there. My friend came with me and she said, "Oh, he's the tired looking guy." And I was like yeah, that's Marty. You submit your app packet, and then basically as long as all of your documentation is correct, you immediately proceed to the next step. Basically, a lot of them, as long as you can do paperwork properly and know how to read like a set of like instructions, that's like the first barrier to entry. Literally, it's just like.
And also the entrance exam. We forgot to mention that.
But like, if you have to submit the paperwork first before you even get into the entrance exam. Yeah. So if you mess up the paperwork, you don't even get to go to the entrance exam because they don't.
One shot.
Yeah.
It's like the DMV.
Yeah, exactly. That's like their test. That's like their baseline test of like, can you read? Yeah. Then once you can read, you get to do the entrance exam.
See.
Yeah,
so
I've never been turned away from the DMV, so.
You came ready with the paperwork.
I did,
So.
Yeah. Just
Christ was different though, because it didn't have an interview section. It only had a written exam and then a practical exam, and basically then they combined the two scores, and then like they just ranked the first top 25 people and they brought them into the class. Yeah. So
Malcolm, there's 28 spots. I think 70, maybe 75. I'm not sure, maybe more. but there's an interview process after you pass the test. And because it's a little more like at Christ, I know you rode with Oaklawn. There might be other departments, I'm not sure.
There's a lot of them.
But at Malcolm, you ride with Chicago Fire Department, and they tell you're not just riding with us, you're representing us out there, so don't act a fool, act proper, don't do anything stupid. And they just wanted to know what you would do. I wasn't really bothered by interviews. I've never really been bothered by interviews, but I know speaking publicly is some things that people struggle with. So yeah, and every medic school is different, I'll say that for sure.
Yeah, as I've started to look, especially like a lot of places haven't changed their website to say, class is coming up in 2026. So I've already started looking at some of the application process, looking at like what documentation I need based off that, and I've started to ask for can I get a letter? Can I get a letter here? Can I get a letter? Yeah. Everybody has kind of different standards.
Yeah. How was the process for you, Erik? You just went through it. So
I did really just go through it. Exactly how you guys were saying. You show up with your paperwork, you kind of submit that stuff, and as long as it's all filled out correctly, you are set to go for the entrance exam. One thing I can speak about, though, at least at St. Francis, is the entrance exam is kind of distant from how the NREMT is phrased. In terms of, it's a lot of scenario-based questions. It's a lot less of, you have certain conditions, you have certain complaints, signs and symptoms. It's really far away from that. It's a lot of scenario-based stuff. What would you do in the certain moments? But it's as long as you know your baseline knowledge from EMS or from EMT specifically, you can really do well on that exam. And there was a math section as well, and there was a reading section, which was actually just a comprehensive essay about yourself and kind of why you would want to be in the paramedic field, why you feel like you deserve a spot at a certain program. After that, I've heard mixed reviews in terms of merit callback. So I've heard some people had done well on the exam and they actually didn't end up getting a final interview for the program. But St. Francis specifically, it deals a lot with, or it has a lot of people riding at private ambulance companies. So for my class, I know there's about 34 students in my class. And all my classmates are going to be riding at a private ambulance. And me coming in, I had worked on a private ambulance, but at the time of application, I had actually stepped away from the private ambulance world. And so I was applying as an independent. And what's kind of difficult with St. Francis, and I would keep this in mind, especially if you're someone that's looking into getting into St. Francis, is that there are very limited number of spots as an independent. So much so that I was the only independent student accepted into the program. And I was fortunate enough that Wheeling Fire Department had opened up one single spot, and they gave me the opportunity to take that one spot. Thank you, St. Francis, for that.
Congrats on getting in, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Strong work.
But yeah, I mean, to speak on that interview thing, personally, I have never sat in front of 4 people and spoke about myself. And it's something you kind of have to get used to. And those common questions are, tell us about yourself. That's the great first opening line of every single interview. And, I would totally have that stuff ready. And thankfully I have an awesome roommate who's in the business world, and he has had these types of interviews. So I was able to prepare. He kind of told me what to expect in terms of these interviews. But if you're kind of looking into what to expect for these interviews is, talk a little bit about yourself. Talk about, kind of experience you have. Thankfully I had credit, unlike Liam's situation where I didn't have to take a class necessarily. I had graduated just this past spring from Loyola. So I did have all the credits necessary in terms of stepping into the program, but it was definitely very nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
No, Malcolm's test was the same way.
Yeah.
A lot more questions too. NREMT is 70 to 120.
Yeah.
There was 150.
Yep, same.
Very scenario-based. And I felt pretty good. I felt better about that test than the NREMT. But, we all teach here, so we're familiar with scenarios for sure. I feel like that's my strongest suit, that and enemy phys.
Yeah. I tend to like the interviews, if I'm honest. I think I feel like my character is best displayed in interviews.
Sure. I absolutely bombed an interview.
But
I freaked out. I walked in, freaked out immediately, had a stroke on the first sentence. Hi, glad to meet you. And then they were like, oh, this person can't be in an emergency situation.
Yeah. I feel like it's a good way for them to actually get to know me. I feel like it's hard to put my personality on paper.
Absolutely.
Which last year when I applied to medical school, and I was like, damn, I rocked that interview. And then I hit the waiting list. I was like, tear going down my face.
No, 100%, dude.
Yeah, but I think interviews, I personally enjoy interviews. I think it's hard to really put into a paper, like, why you want to be a paramedic. I feel like it's, you can get a lot more of, like, the emotional aspect when you're sitting across from someone. It's like talking about the call that started it, or talking about the experience that they had that kind of pushed them in the direction of becoming a paramedic.
No, and it's interesting because, like, I don't know everyone's background here. I know you're a firefighter, EMT, but does research and paramedic as well.
Does research.
At Loyola.
Nerd.
But like, I don't know. Before I came here, because I took the class here as spring of 23, I was a painter, and then I was a lighting technician for a TV show. So I spent one semester in college, and I was like, nah, this is not what we're doing. I'm not doing this for 4 years, you know. And, you know, I came here, didn't know anything. I knew some medical words, like blood pressure and pulse rate. But, like, you know, it's just cool growing from that to actually being a person that's, you know, respected and talk. You know, people ask questions is cool. Love answering questions. You know, there's no dumb questions. So if anyone's listening, ask away. You know, they set a rule limit in my class. Eventually, I was allowed 5. I was pretty good about that. My classmates might disagree, but yeah, I don't know.
So one of my questions I have is, what turned out to be harder than you expected, and what turned out to be easy during your class? Was there something that was like, man, I'll rock this, and you got there, I was like, you know what, this is actually a lot more in depth than I, you know, previously anticipated?
You want to go first? I gotta think a little bit.
I mean, I think the paperwork was a lot more, because Christ's program is very, very paper heavy. Like, you have to have this like sheet filled out for every single call, and then where you check off the skills, you check off the demographics. The paramedic has to sign in all the right places. And if they don't sign in all the right places, the call doesn't count at all. Even if it's like everything, if they sign at the bottom of the sheet, they have to sign it like in other places. They have to like initial it.
It's like we're government workers and we're like learning how to do this.
And like just keeping on top of like documentation and stuff is just like, because you're doing like so many calls and so many like patients a week. Especially at Christ, you're doing like the ride time at the same time as the clinical time, so you're just doing so many write-ups all at the same time. It's just like so many hours of just writing up, and keeping on top of that was like something I had to like practice, which is, it's a good skill to have though, because then you keep on top of paperwork as a paramedic, because as a paramedic you can't just not do your paperwork.
You're like, these are pending? What's going on?
Can I get an extension? You don't get an extension, you're done.
You know, and I don't, was yours, you had to be in by 72 hours, you had 3 days to fill it out?
Yeah.
No,
so,
we didn't have to do every call, but we had to write down every call, you know, what we did, same thing, but it wasn't quite as in-depth. There's some spots they had to fill out. Now, documentation for sure, and then I would say, I didn't find it hard, but I saw it in other classmates, was learning to work with other people, because everyone in my medic program, we were all very confident in our abilities, and you know, not everyone was ready to take the lead. Some people took the lead every time. I was definitely one of those people that I was like, give it to me. I'm not afraid to try it first. Some people are, but you know, learning who you're working with, learning how to read people, communication skills for sure.
Yeah, I think that's pretty crazy, because I remember when I was on that panel at the University of Chicago, a big point I wanted to make was, especially in today's day and age, we're so connected with technology, but a lot of people still don't know how to work with others. That's something that we've really lost over time. And I think, especially in this career field, you've got to be able to work with others, because that partner on that ambulance is going to save your life more times, and it's going to save your patient's life. It's going to help back you up when you're like, you know what? Do I give this medication?
It's 3 a.m, dude.
It's 3 a.m. You need both brains to complete one. Okay, you need one full brain on
your team.
So
you're a team.
It's very important. And I think one thing I really wanted to ask you as well is study tactics. Everybody's study tactics are different, but I always like to hear about how other people study, what made it easy for them. Like me personally, during EMT, videos, paramedic coach. That's what got me through it. Watching the videos on repeat, taking the same notes on repeat. I just kind of wanted to ask you guys, what did you guys do that you feel like really contributed to your success and during paramedic school?
Yeah. You know, I again, not being afraid to try to answer questions. You know, my instructor really liked to ask questions. And, you know, I raised my hand quite a bit, but I was also right quite a bit as well. And I'm not afraid to say that, you know. But I definitely, you know, I really listen, and even here at Chicago EMT, I really listen to what they're saying. A visual audio learner, motor skills learner. I'm really good with my hands, really good at paying attention when someone's talking, and I can absorb information. I cannot read a textbook to save my life.
Same.
And that's not a way that I learn.
It's also because I can't read. So. I don't know if you have the same problem.
Right. No, I just can't sit there. That's all. No, but like YouTube videos, you know, I'm still watching Paramedic Coach. There's you know, you can always you could be a paramedic for 20 years and, you know, there's no reason to not stay fresh on material. And you know, it helps when you enjoy it. But yeah, definitely listening to my instructor, absorbing material, absorbing other, like, you know, like asking. I wasn't afraid. I would ask other instructors, like, hey, like, do you have like a video you have on this topic or something like that? You know, definitely just reach out, learn on your own, learn your own way. But you got to figure that out. If you don't know how to learn your own way, you're gonna struggle a little bit. 'Cause reading the textbook front to back, that's like a 3,000-page book. Yeah. And a lot of it is, some of it's common sense, and other parts is things I've never heard of. So.
Yeah.
Well, it's I guess coming from undergrad, that helps a lot because you in theory you should already have a study method after 4 years of college, right? Sometimes you don't. I mean, you know.
Definitely did not.
I'm still not locked in on the whole study thing. To be fair, I still have the attention span of a squirrel.
Same.
But for me, I actually did read the textbook, but I'd read only the parts that like I was confused on.
Yeah.
Like I would like read it and like take my own notes, like, you know, and then like also like, you know, using outside resources too, because sometimes textbook is written, sometimes it's out of date, honestly. Sometimes it just like doesn't make sense. It doesn't go in depth enough. Sometimes you need to like consult another source. Like for me, like medication wise, I'd like to know like, you know, that kind of what it does to the body. Yeah. Then like how that translates into like into reactions, and then, you know, how that is applicable to my treatment of the patient.
And how you can fix that as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know, like if I mess something up, I want to be able to fix it.
Yeah, reversing.
Yeah,
sure.
So it's like I really need like an A, B, C, D, like from the bottom up approach, and the textbook doesn't always provide that for me. So I would always like consult outside sources and just kind of write things out in my own words and like my own handwriting.
Yeah.
So
I learned really chaotically as well. I just want to add one more thing to that. I found, you know, using my experience as an instructor here, not necessarily teaching, but definitely helping out my other classmates reinforce the material for me. And I'm really good at pattern recognition. So like specifically for cardiac, you know, you got to learn how to read the EKG sheets. And, you know, there's just certain rules that are like, if this happened, I flow charted it. You know how we have the flow chart here?
Yep.
I found a way, if this, rule all these out. If this is happening, you can also rule these out. You know, just really breaking it down to the finer points and having a, you know, like kind of an expanded view, I guess, on rules you can look for. Because you get numbers, and, you know, numbers don't mean anything. It's what I'm looking at, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think it's all about just building systems that are easy for you to digest. I remember something like one of my instructors said during Fire Academy is like, a bunch of guys with bow ties sit around a table and write these books. And people like us just can't understand them. And it's because these people who write the textbooks, they've been in this field forever, right? They've forged many paths, and we haven't had that amount of experience yet. So sometimes it's hard for us to digest some of that information. So, and
they're also written from the perfect clinical setting,
which is almost never a call.
Yeah.
So,
I just wanted to add one thing about like studying. I think it's like there's a lot of different methods like across the table. We've already talked about a couple. A lot of people, some like flashcards. I'm a big person against flashcards.
I'll buy them.
I'll buy them. I'm not making them.
Exactly. But I've also met people who that's their thing, like Quizlet and like Anki.
I hate that app. I can't. I could never get into it.
Paramedic Flash is actually really good.
Bro,
Yeah.
Christ
They're
made us.
really good.
It was an assignment to make your own flashcards
Same.
for all of the medications.
Yeah, we had to make all our flashcards.
I guess that's most programs maybe.
And then
so you have to do that too.
medications
The
usually
greatest pass
always come
fail.
with
Yeah.
flashcards. Always.
But I learned them. I didn't write all the medications out for drug cards.
You had to submit them, so I had to write all of them. They were like,
we had to, but I figured out a little bit later on that they weren't exactly checking them. So I stopped.
wow.
So something for you guys that have gone through paramedic school, I think something that we've talked about here, at least the first day of EMT school, is find a study buddy. And find someone that you might be able to connect with, and work on scenarios and bounce ideas off of, things like that, outside of all the other resources that we have. Did you guys ever find yourself looking for people inside your class to study outside of class time? Did you find that helpful if you did? What was your guys' experience kind of with that?
The person I thought was going to be my study buddy got kicked out.
You didn't study with them.
like a month in.
Wrong choice.
So I honestly don't study well with other people though, because if other people's words, they start like confusing me. I'm like, wait, you think of this like that, like, and then it confuses me with the way that I'm conceptualizing something. So I actually am very much a solo studier. I don't like studying with people. At most, I like to compare answers on like assignments or whatever, and be like, hey, so how did you get to this, or like how did
reasoning.
Reasoning.
Sure.
But I don't actually like to study with people. I actually like, as much as I respect that, like for other people, for me, it just like honestly just confuses me. I'm like, I already have 15 voices in my head. I don't need another voice. They're already saying different things.
There's
so it's too many.
I found that, I wouldn't call it study buddy, not that that's the wrong term. That is absolutely the right term. But it's a little different from EMT school as far as this is a classroom versus in paramedic school. We all are professionals. We've done this. We'd be like, hey, what did you think of this? Rather than like sit down and study. I really found just like you said, bouncing ideas off people, because you find out real quick your instructor can explain it one way and other people will explain it another way, and there's nothing wrong with the way they explained it. It's just it doesn't click for some people.
Exactly.
The way that he taught me, the way that he taught our class, stuck with me, but it did not stick with a lot of people. So I was able to just be like, hey guys, this is what he meant. This is, I really found it beneficial to talk through it, for sure. Not necessarily sitting down like, hey, let's spend 30 minutes like sitting on the couch right outside the classroom and just talk about it a little bit.
I agree. I think it really depends on your study buddy. I think we talk about it a lot as instructors. Is hey, how many people you got? That's a party. We're no longer working. Vic says that all the time. It's
we have like 3 people max for sure, and we would get nothing done.
What's also what if
at this table? Yes, nothing would happen productive.
What if your study buddies don't know what's going on, and then you get the wrong info? You gotta.
I think that we talked about that as well today. Is just based off of how final practicals have gone in the study groups that. We were just like, what? Maybe someone's spreading some false information. Yeah. I think that's also important to understand is, how well is your study doing in the program? But also just making sure you're actually staying focused.
In the first month.
That's wild. Definitely, like, sorry to interrupt, see if an instructor is willing to set aside some time to sit down and talk about it. We had a couple, shout out to Elizabeth, instructor Foster, as she does not like to be called, but we had to use last names at Malcolm. She, her, and then Pablo, instructor Acevedo.
I know Pablo. Yeah.
You know Pablo?
I used to work with him at Elite.
Love Pablo.
I was this little EMR, just driving him around.
No, Pablo's great. Yeah, he's in flight now, dude. He's killing it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know he got his flight back like a year ago or something like that. It just took so long for him to actually find a slot.
Yeah. They actually set up like tutoring at Malcolm. It was kind of cool. They set up like, hey, we're going to do this on Wednesday, and Monday I might have some time, but it's not as crazy. But just hearing what they have to say, like Pablo was great, anatomy phys as well as pathophysiology of drugs, and instructor Foster was really good with cardiology. So the way they explained it was really cool. And, I got a couple stickers from Foster for getting some EKG strips right. But, yeah.
They give out stickers in your program?
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
No, just her.
Gold sticker? Like
no,
gold
it was stars? I have a panda. It's still on my iPad.
No, it's
really? Mm-hmm. Like a panda flowchart? Yeah, Liam, 3 pandas, everybody else like 2.
Yeah. No, but, and it goes back to just the perspective thing, you know. Like, there's the term I'm sure Anna has heard, irregularly irregular. That sounds like nonsense to me. What do you think about that as far as EKG strips?
I think that I understand what they mean when they say that, but that's not something that I would, because it's like if it's regularly regular, then there's something regular about it. So it's like, just say it's,
That's not how I would introduce it to someone.
Yeah.
That's how it was introduced to us.
I'm confused just listening to you guys.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense.
Does the heart beat irregularly on a rhythm, or does it beat irregularly with no pattern? And I would never say irregularly irregular, because that just confuses me.
Just call it
Like,
into
look at you guys, you know?
It's like two negatives.
Yeah.
No,
Like,
it
stuff like that.
It
Yeah.
helps when you actually have like the strips in front of you and like the actual
Yeah.
like, patterns and whatnot. It's a lot of pattern recognition, which is actually pretty chill. But the thing is, it's a pattern. There's always a pattern of some sort.
Yeah, there's some going on.
Yeah. Just, you know what, just read the monitor. Just call in abnormal results.
Yeah, when you hit the print button, it actually says what's going on.
just FaceTime them. FaceTime, flip the cam, just show them what you're saying.
Yeah, we didn't have transmission where I worked, so we had to just like call it in. They're like, "Can you send us the EKG?" I'm like,
No.
no.
No, we cannot.
But good luck, guys, when we get here.
Yeah, that's something I would practice, actually, going back to that. Practice working with your monitors, because, you know, I'm not the most familiar with the actual operations of the monitor.
Don't start me on monitors. We're working with some ancient monitors at ATEC.
Oh, dude, we had some equipment older than me.
The
At
Tempest.
Malcolm.
Have you
At
ever
Malcolm.
heard of the Tempest?
I have not heard of the Temple.
The AED is the AED is actually detached from the monitor, and it Bluetooth syncs during cardiac arrest.
Oh, that's not right.
And you have to add another 3.
Hold on, you're telling me there's a delay? There's a delay on
Listen,
your
I've never had to use it
Yo,
yet.
guys,
to
hold
have-
on.
you have to
The
have
80s
Wi-Fi.
unsynced.
No Wi-Fi
man.
connection.
You
What
have
are
to
we
log
doing?
in first.
God, I forgot my password.
Hey guys, who's on aux on the fucking monitor, bro?
Why isn't the Bluetooth connected? One more thing I wanted to ask you guys is, because one thing I worry about most about medic school, it's not even about my knowledge. It's about the financial aspect. I was just like, you know what, how do I prepare for it? Mine was just saving up as much money as possible, trying to meet the threshold of 1 year of bills, trying to pay for it in cash, and found out my company will pay for medic school.
Yeah.
I actually have to work for 2 years, which is okay.
Yeah.
Free
Not
school.
necessarily.
But how did you guys prep for medic school in terms of money, working full time? Were you guys able to manage it working full time?
You know, I think, is everyone here under the age of 26?
Yeah.
So that's one aspect we don't have to talk about. You know, health insurance.
Health
Yeah.
insurance.
Or to have health insurance.
Yeah.
Thank God for my mother.
Yep.
man.
Thank mom and dad. Shout
Good
out
life
to you guys.
insurance.
Shout out mom and dad.
Mom, I
Shout
love
out mom
you.
and dad. Yeah. So that's one aspect alone. You know, I know some people, like, I was one of the younger guys in my class. You know, we had a couple 19-year-olds. Then it was like 22, 20, 23, 24. And then we had went up to like 28. Oldest was, I think, 32.
That was your
Maybe
oldest?
Something like that. Yeah, he was close. No, he was 38 actually. So he couldn't. He was like, I want to be a paramedic firefighter, and we were like,
Dog.
I mean, yes, but no union.
yeah, exactly. But you know, health insurance is definitely an aspect that needs to be covered, especially just the risks you face in the ambulance alone, even as an EMT. Then there's you know, you have to pay for medic school. That's the easy part. You have to figure out how you're going to live as well. And that was the hard part for me, you know. Shout out to mom and dad. They were able to cover medic school. Yeah, it was really nice. But if I did have to do it myself, you know, definitely would be a little bit worse off. But also the return on your investment is tenfold, you know. You know, medic school is $6,000 at Malcolm. Give or take, and you know, start off at least making $60,000, so that covers itself eventually. Hopefully, you know, that doesn't cover living expenses or anything like that. It's definitely not easy working full time. I burped a little. I'm sorry. It's not easy covering living expenses while you're you know you're meeting class 3 times a day, or 3 days a week. For about 4 hours at Malcolm, and then Friday was a full day from like 8 to 5. And then they said if you fit 1 clinical a week, 1 to 2 maybe, you'll meet the quota that you need to meet, which we had 208 hours of clinical time, and then we rode with CFD for 480 hours, which is 24-hour shifts.
Yeah.
You know? So the 24-hour shifts is, you know, that's just a demon you got to face. But the 208, it really wasn't that bad.
Okay.
You know, just don't slack. Don't procrastinate your clinical time. There's no reason to. You know, 1 a week is not bad. That's really not that bad.
Yeah.
It's a lot, and it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So, and there's some things that you cannot. First of all, you can't. You don't know what you're doing with some subjects, and then you also cannot take credit, quote unquote, for. You can't document that you did something that you have not learned in class yet.
Yeah.
So you can't, as far as meeting the quotas of what you need to reach in class, there's certain things you can't document until you cover it in class anyways. So don't even bother with that, Yeah, I don't know. And how was it for you?
I mean, yeah, I also got some financial help, but I like kind of split it 50, like it was like 60-40, something like that with like the cost of medical school. I just did 2 part-time jobs at the same time. I don't think there were some people who were able to do full-time, but the thing is like...
Those people are nuts.
Some people, well, the thing is that it does change though. If you are able to ride with your department as a firefighter EMT, then you're getting paid at the same time as you're doing your clinicals.
My
so
dream.
that was like so
that will not happen at Malcolm.
Yeah. So for people at Christ,
maybe you can, but
yeah, for people at Christ, like that was a game changer for them because they could just like work and get their hours at the same time.
Right.
I was not a firefighter. I went in as just an EMT. So I was like, well, I'm cooked in that sense. Mm-hmm. Hell yeah. So I was cooked in that sense. I couldn't earn money at the same time. So I didn't have time for a full-time job because I was literally 10 hours of lecture to 5-hour lectures, right? 8 hours of clinical at the hospital, and then also 10 hours of clinical on the ambulance a week. Mm-hmm. That's like a full-time job, basically hours-wise. Like, so I mean, like that's a part-time job, so you can only add another part-time job to it. So I would do like 1 day a week of like either working an event or like working here. So that's like if you like can't get paid while you're on shift. Yeah. You can get hired technically, I think, while you're in a paramedic program as a firefighter paramedic though. So that's a consideration for you. Just because some will be like, yeah, as long as like you're like enrolled in a program, then we'll take you.
Because you're in the process of getting your medic, and as of right now,
and it's always pending.
Yeah, and the department holds paramedic to such a high level as well. Yeah. Once you have your medic, you can pretty much go anywhere, right?
Well, because there's a very big shortage of fire medics, and even of just paramedics. There's a big shortage right now. Like everybody's desperate right now. It's like they'll either like if you only have one of each, like they'll send you like they'll wait for you to get your medic, or they'll send you through the academy. Like that's one of the places that I'm applying. Is like they'll send you through the academy because they're like, we need paramedics. Nobody wants to do this. It's
we need you.
Yeah, they're more likely to send you through fire academy because they cost the same, but paramedic school's a year. Fire academy's about 3 months.
Yeah, and because I remember when I first joined, fresh out of like right after COVID, right? Because everybody was preaching, the fire departments need you, they want you. Yes, that is true, but also after, what certification do you have? Mm-hmm. Are you in medic school? Yeah. I remember at some point they used to pay for medic school, and then they figured out there's not enough skin in the game for those who are in medic school. And a lot of people figure out in medic school, maybe I don't want to be a medic. Maybe I just want to be a firefighter.
That's a lot of time where you find out,
Where then it's like, now it's like, damn, y'all ruined it, because me wanting to be a firefighter paramedic, ain't no help.
That was it. That was it for me, dude. I was done there.
But it's also like it's such a gamble though, because it's like with Peace and Love to Fire Academy, most people who are like, if you get into Fire Academy, you're probably gonna pass it if you have like the physical ability and like especially if you're a paramedic already, you probably can do like the book stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the problem with paramedic school is like that those skills don't necessarily transfer. Yeah. People will get like kicked out in the middle. It's like, oh, we paid for your paramedic school and you got kicked out in the middle.
Yeah.
Oh my God, failed investment.
And then you lose EMT school and job.
Yeah,
at the same
exactly.
Time.
So it's like
And EMT school, I won't say easy. I will definitely say that content is not difficult to understand. At paramedic level, it's definitely more college level than what we're learning here. And even beyond that, there's stuff that cardiologists learn that we're learning, and we get like, I don't know, 2 lectures on it, something like that.
I was in the hospital like looking at like EKGs with the ER doctors. We're like, what do you think that is? I'm like, that looks junctional. They're like, I don't know what that is. I'm like,
That's what you find out at the ER. They're like, call cardiology. The other thing I'll say is both of us didn't even mention study time. We talked about clinical time, school time, and work.
Yeah.
Because you have to figure it out. And I think the easier one to cut out is work. Some people, they have to work to make a living for sure. That's tough. I know some of my students, sacrifice some class time to pay bills, and I respect that. But for me, school was first, and same for my parents. That's why they were like cool with this. But it was also like, I'm here on my parents' dime. I have to do this. There's no excuse. I don't have to worry about working full time. I have to pass this. There's no reason not to.
I would say it is doable though if you're like on an ambulance, on a private ambulance, or like, again, I was working events, right? Like there were some events where I could just sit there with my textbook out and just study during it. I was getting paid to study basically.
It's not fun, but
because that's what I did
12
during
hours
undergrad.
You might as well use it.
Yeah.
During undergrad, I was like on the 911 ambulance, just sitting there with my computer out, doing my homework between calls. I'm like, hold on. I know we have to go to a call. Let me finish this math problem. Hold on, guys.
That's one of the more grounded questions. Definitely like the hardest to answer because nobody's situation is the same.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. But I think it's also good to kind of provide some insight into your specific situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
One more thing I kind of wanted to touch on was clinicals and ride time. I know Liam rode with CFD. I think that's an amazing experience. Yeah. Anna, who did you ride with? What was your experience like? And then because we've heard a little bit of Liam's.
Yeah, I'll go after the finale.
I rode with Oaklawn Fire Department, so where my paramedic
Shout
program
out
was.
Oaklawn.
Shout out Oaklawn.
That's where Christ is.
That is where Christ is. Yeah, I think they're one of the busiest ones that people got to ride with, other than like some of the private services in the area. But I think it was very beneficial to learn how a fire department operates. I don't have anyone in the fire service. I don't know how a fire department works. I showed up there with like my private ambulance experience and was like, okay, so like I'm here for just 10 hours. I just have to show up to calls and I'm good. No, they expect much more from you than that, which is like
cleaning
something.
The bathrooms? Who's scrubbing the toilets?
They're
Who's
like
cooking?
They're like, who you have to.
That's the other thing. CFD
like,
doesn't do any of that.
Yeah.
They're like, dude, sit there. Because you're gonna run 25 calls today. Sit there. Shout out Vince, Ambo 47, Truck 108. They got good old food, great food. Shout out to Ambulance 36 in Inglewood. Learned a lot there.
Inglewood.
Did not sleep there. We were busy. It wasn't crazy. It was good food, really good food there. But yeah, that's the one thing that I'll say about suburban departments is way different. You go to a suburban department, you're gonna be doing chores.
It's not even all of them either. It's like, but it's just like you learn the order of things where it's like the probies are at the bottom, you are below the probies. But the thing is, they treat you similar, even though it's like you're not like paid labor, which is one of the things that like is kind of like
you're actually paying labor.
Yeah, it's a little controversial in that sense because they're like, oh, you have to be under the same rules as the probationary firefighters, but it's like I am here on my own dime, doing schoolwork at the same time, but. Still, I mean, I think it was good to learn kind of how things run, kind of understand what goes into the fire service as well. They were like, every time like the chiefs were on, like they would take me to the drills with them and they'd be like, okay, you're going to like learn how to breach a wall. I'm like, a what? They're like, we're going to explain to you
this is not in my scope.
They're like, we're going to teach you like the search and rescue like protocols. Like, Anna, come with, like, you're going to watch too. Like, they're like, you want to be a firefighter, don't you? I was like, I guess I'm a firefighter now. So
that's the one thing I noticed at Malcolm. They were like, your name's on the list, right? For CFD? I was like, yeah. Sure. Yeah. Sure. I looked at it. I looked at it. I did. I looked at it. I'm not going to say where I'm going, but CFD is an option. It's not my preferred option for sure. As a single role paramedic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I kind of want to bounce back a little bit too. I'm just kind of in the mind of thinking about people that are looking to apply to paramedic school, and a lot of guys. I mean, obviously, our conversation has been a lot about financial and stuff like that, at least as of right now. And one thing I do want to touch on is Joey did kind of talk about your program, your private ambulance company paying for you to go to paramedic school, and that obviously that tuition reimbursement by the private ambulance companies is a plus. But I also want to note that there are ambulance companies that will pay you for your ride time during paramedic school, which is such a plus because we've been talking about money, and especially about
that's huge.
Yeah, shout out Superior. I know they do that, and
I think Lifeline also does it if you go through. Yeah, some of them.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a contract behind that, having to work for them after you finish paramedic school and whatnot. But I mean, doing the math, I mean, if you're doing 500 hours of ambulance time, you're getting, whatever you're making as an EMT, you're still making over $10,000 easily just simply by doing what you're required to do for paramedic school. Yeah. And especially if you're someone that's looking into that, like, and you do have the time and you want to stay in Chicago or wherever you're doing your paramedic school too, totally take advantage of that, right? Like if you're happy with where you're at, I think culture has been a big thing that we've kind of been touching on, especially with like the food aspect and stuff like that. Dude. The culture aspect is one of the greatest things going into the fire service or the EMS services. The people you're around working as a team, not only that, but like you have a family there. And when we're talking about being at a station for 24 hours and working with the same people and whatnot, one of the greatest benefits outside of doing such a fulfilling job is creating connections, just like we have right here at this table and right here at this same job that we all work at, but making those friends for life. And I think that's one of the greatest things that comes with being in the EMS service, no matter what level of practice you're at. And I think it's also really driving, right? Like seeing those people around you,
just
like
people succeeding, man.
Simply me across the table from Liam, someone that graduated my class, seeing him as a paramedic succeeding. It's one of the most like driving things. Like, you know, hey, like that's my friend. He did it. He's such a great guy at it. And like, what's stopping me from getting there too? And we kind of feed off that energy too, as just people in general, like with anything. And I think the EMS service and paramedic school, EMT school, all of that is applicable. I brought 2 people here, you know, 2 of my classmates, Dakota and Denny. Those guys are dope. Great guys.
I was like, I think you guys would be good at this, you know. And you know, another thing about Dakota, you know, he's not afraid to ask questions either, you know. He's asking a lot of questions there as well. But I want to talk about the fact that private ambulances will pay for your ride time. I do also want to let you guys know you're not stuck there as far as contract. You can eventually buy that out, or even some fire departments will buy that out if you're worried about being stuck in a location that is not your end goal and you want to get there a little faster. You know, there's some things you can do about that. So don't worry about that.
You know, like, because I originally was a little scared of the contract. I was like, you know what, I don't want to sign this because me personally, like, people are like, oh, just leave. Me personally, I would hate that, because me knowing, like, I work for an agency, I like the agency, I like the people, I know the people. Me personally is like, okay, what can I do to make sure that I get as much as I can out of it, and them? And I think the one thing that, like, I was like, you know what, I'm going to take the tuition reimbursement is ATEC actually takes $200 a month out of your check, out of your personal check. From ATEC, which is nice, because by the end of it, you've already paid for half of medic school with those deposits, right? So by that time, I'll only have to work for half the time to pay them back in cash, which is nice for me, because
that's something I had to learn.
It gives me a year to actually, I can process some applications to fire departments and some agencies. Gives me enough time to re-up my CPAC card, get fit again, because during medic I ate a little too good. But I think it's really important to understand what the contract is and take your time going over it. And if you don't fully understand it, I know personally, I took the contract to my parents.
Read it, dude. There's no reason not to.
I already told you I can't read it. I already told you I can't read it.
We've been over this.
We've already been over this.
Look, would you scan it? Have Siri read it to you. All right.
I have to figure out how to turn Siri on in the first place. But I think it's very important to understand what contract you're signing and what benefits you have, and how you're going to exit that contract, right? Because I think at the end of the day, one thing we were talking about was we're such a tight-knit family, right? Just here on this podcast, we realize, we knew the same person. I think it's also good to make sure we're not just, dipping out on people and stuff like that, because this is a very tight-knit community.
Yeah. No, there's a loyalty aspect of that. Yep. I noticed for sure. I was at Elite. I left. I told them I'd work part-time. I'd pick up like 1 shift a month. I did not do that. And, they were like, we were about to kick you off the roster. I was like, thanks for not doing that. I showed up right then, but they took me back. And I'm cool with that. But there's the loyalty aspect that I had to overcome myself of, like, this is a company. They're a for-profit organization. Do not feel bad for leaving them to go do what you want to do. Yeah. Because we tell you guys in class anyways, like, most of these places are stepping stone companies, and there's nothing wrong with that, because they'll move on from you. I know Anna talked about Oak Lawn a little bit. I just want to talk, like, I'm not going to go crazy, but I want to talk about the CFD experience a little bit.
100%, yeah.
CFD was cool, man. Like, they love the students. Firefighters for sure love the students. It's really cool to see. They're happy to show us stuff, And one thing I was worried about was asking them questions. My preceptors, the medics I was with, they love it. Don't be afraid to ask questions there. I don't know how Oak Lawn was, but CFD, like, they're excited about that stuff. The food is the best food you ever had. I know one of my instructors it was really cool actually. My preceptor at 36 was actually one of the instructors at Malcolm X, so I rode with him, so I already knew him, so I didn't have to figure out his personality along with the rest of the firehouse, because there's definitely that aspect of I'm just visiting, but by like ride day 10, like, you've been there enough. They know you. They're like, hey, Liam. I'm like, yeah, what's up, dude? I don't know your name, but I'm the only one here in a gray shirt. So yeah. But no, that was cool. And he CFD manages O'Hare as well as Midway. Yep. So that's an extra thing that they have to fill out, and not every paramedic wants to do that because you go to a different firehouse for the day. So my instructor was filled out for Midway, so he filled out the paperwork for that. So I got to spend 2 days at Midway. We were not as busy as Inglewood, which was nice for a change. It was funny. My first day was at Midway, and then I went to Inglewood. So he was like, "Hey, these days are not like this at 36, bro." But no, it was good. And then I spent 2 more days there, and one of the days they made seafood gumbo, which I'd never had before.
Dude,
For one of the, it was one of the firefighters' last days, so they were retiring. They made seafood gumbo. He spent 7 hours making it. And I was like, dude, this is great. We ran 3 calls. It was lovely.
We're streaming about it right now.
I'm dreaming about it.
So good, man.
We just had this conversation. A lot of firefighters died from heart issues, and
Yeah, they'd be eating
I know that
some
gumbo's
grub,
thick.
man.
That
Dude,
gumbo's
shit was,
thick.
oh man, I couldn't see the bottom of it, bro.
Mid-bite.
That was delicious, dude. I got a crab leg in there.
Oh, the crab
oh my
legs.
God,
Come
yeah.
on, the
That was good,
juice.
man. Dude, it was so good.
One thing I also wanted to talk about as well, because I think it also pertains to our students who are who are just finishing the class, because they kind of understood this experience, but also our students coming up here, because we're about to restart.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah, we
Back at
finished.
Vitals.
Hey, shout out to y'all
Again.
for finishing, man. Putting in the work.
Yeah.
To that as well.
Thank you.
It's a grind sometimes, but we love it.
Yeah, I think it's important to kind of touch base on you guys as paramedic students. What was the best way? Because you actually had a chance to work with your instructor. Me, I'd feel so comfortable working with my instructor. I'd be like, here, it's okay if I mess up a little bit. He understands. I'm learning because he's teaching me. But with some of the proctors on the ambulance who don't know you, what was your best way to kind of go about making sure you felt comfortable operating in someone else's ambulance,
Breaking
someone
the
else's
ice.
environment, breaking
Yeah,
the
no,
ice.
like,
Getting them to actually talk to you and interact with you. I know, Anna, you experienced some stuff where it was maybe harder to break the ice at some departments you were riding with. And,
I'm super nervous about that. Can I say that?
Sure, dude. I
Can I
got
say
you.
that?
So,
I'm up in Wheeling. We have 2 stations, and each time that I do my ride time, it might alternate between the stations.
Oakland had 3
you're gonna get to
stations.
know them, dude.
So,
Dude, CFD has,
Yeah, I think this
don't
is-
even know.
Yeah.
They have stations that don't even have an ambulance. It's just a truck.
breaking the ice is what do you ask them? Like
I would
little
start with
Rosebud Thorn.
what's your favorite kind of music? I would start with letting them know what you're capable of doing.
Okay.
Because they understand you're a student, you're not a full paramedic, but you know some stuff. When we first started, they were like, all right, you're gonna take vitals and check the glucose. I got that all the time. Hey, check the glucose. Because it's just the thing they don't. They're just sitting there. The guy's already in the front. I'm there taking glucose. But by the end, I'm like, hey, this guy has intracranial pressure. I can see his, I can see what's going on. This guy needs a line. His blood pressure is 80 over. By the end, it's your call. They have us run the calls. We have to do. It's called team lead. So there's that aspect of learning to take charge, knowing when to take charge, knowing who you're with. But letting them know what you're capable of. And same with nurses, actually. I didn't realize, I didn't know how much nurses could do. I didn't really spend much time talking with nurses, especially in ER. And they have no idea what paramedics can do. By the way, they are not aware that we can intubate, we can interpret EKGs. So let them know for sure what you guys can do, because they don't know that.
Well, doctors don't know either.
I spent a lot of time with some new grad nurses. I was teaching a few people some things too, because they, they're like, I've been out here for a month. I'm like, damn, bro. So definitely let them know what you're capable of. Let them know what you're covering in class. Let them know what you have covered. Let them know what skills you would like to work on. I know that was something they were like, hey, what have you not done? Because I don't care what you've done. I need to know what you've not done. I was like, I have not run a cardiac arrest in the field, and I still haven't. I have not drilled anybody. I have not done intraosseous.
You still
in the
haven't?
field. No, it never came up.
Wow.
I know. I was surprised too, especially at 36. I thought something was going to happen.
I had like a string of DOAs a month ago.
I had quite a few.
Every week I had one person
DOAs.
die. I was like, what's going on here?
No, I had quite a few DOAs, but we just check them out and let them know, hey, all right, you have never run a code. All right, you're going to spend time. You're going to drill. You're going to drop meds. You're going to watch the monitor after that. Stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I don't know. What do you think, Anna?
I think CFD is more so a unique experience in that sense, I think.
Yeah.
I think that I'd say for a department, listen more than you speak, for sure. And kind of I would say just ask general questions. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain how to.
Do you ride with just whoever's on shift that
Yeah,
day?
it's whoever's on
Okay.
shift, whoever's on the ambulance that day. So it
Yeah.
switches around who's on the ambulance. Some people like being on the ambulance. Some people don't like being on the
Yeah.
ambulance.
That yes, 'cause
Which is
CFD,
also a big mix.
They have to take a class in order to have us for the 24s. We do 512s, but after that, they have to sign up to be a preceptor. So that is definitely a unique experience. So
Yeah,
that's
there
way
it's like
different.
some people don't even want a student, and they're like,
My chief put you on this ambulance.
I got that.
yeah.
That's
like,
what those 5 days are like. They're like,
Yeah. It was rough because one time I got a review. It was like the beginning of the program. We had like no paramedic skills, and one of the things on the sheet that says it's like assess this student as are they like a competent paramedic? And my preceptor, he goes, well, you didn't do anything paramedic, so I'm gonna give you like a 1 out of 5 on this. I was like,
bro, that's a grade. That's a 20%, dude. Come on.
I was like, thought I'm in paramedic school. I can't even do IVs yet. What did you want me to do? So
that pissed me off for sure.
I like that about CFD is they actually people sign up to be preceptors because that
they have to take a class themselves. It's
that
not
makes
just
sure that
signing up.
they're actually they want to be
They're
part of that
engaged,
process.
yeah. And,
they
you know,
want to teach because I think when people pull rank, are like, hey, you've got a student today. It's,
yeah.
The first thing is like, first of all, they're pulling rank. You're like, oh God.
I gotta babysit this guy.
Chief, you were just my boy like a minute. What just happened? But I think it's important to make sure that people who just like us, we signed up for this job. We know we want to teach and we're here for a reason, and that's why that's what makes us good instructors. And I think that's what we should expect of our proctors, of our students, right? Who's working in the hospitals with these students? Who's allowing them to do right time? I think I like that CFD actually screens people who don't want to do it and just doesn't.
Yeah,
just
no,
pull
and
rank.
if you don't pass, like there were some people that I rode with that were like, I want to teach, and I talked to some of my instructors. I was like, oh, that guy, never in hell. Not because they're bad medics, but they're just gonna teach us. There's stuff that I liked what my instructor said. You're gonna learn a lot of good things at CFD, and you're also gonna learn some things that are not exactly what you should do at all times, right? Yeah. And that's beneficial. Take what you need to know and leave the garbage.
Yeah. I think another thing I really wanted to touch on with you guys, because you guys have lived this and Eric's preparing to enter it, is how do you manage stress, sleep, outside life? Liam, you got a girlfriend, how does that work? How is she doing with this situation? Anna, how's it going with the dog? What do we,
God, I love that dog, man. You need to bring that dog.
Enough time
here,
for
dude.
walks.
Hey,
Enough time for
you gotta
walks.
bring the
hey,
dog
you
here,
spinster,
Anna.
how's it going?
You gotta bring the dog over here, man.
How is it managing your life work balance?
All right.
He doesn't tolerate that. He hates people.
Damn.
In places.
God. Like me.
He freaked out when I tried to bring him to my apartment. He was like
Where does
levitating.
he live?
Huh?
Where does he live?
He lives at my parents' house.
okay.
He lived in a house. He went to an apartment.
Yeah,
said,
he has his own
"You're
house. It's a little house. It's in my
downgrading me?"
parents' backyard.
He said, "You're poor."
Where's the lawn?
He lives in a little house. It's in my parents' backyard. It's got a roof on it.
What?
Can you repeat the question?
How did you manage basically school, work? You're in a relationship. I know you guys just recently moved in. That's new, but
I was like, there's a triangle. There's relationships, school, and work, and I sacrificed work. The only job I really did was I was here in office hours.
oh, I remember. I
Y'all. Yeah,
took
I
all
fought
the shifts.
Mo. I'll fight you every day for them office hours, dude. But no, I'd pick up a shift if I could, if I wasn't scheduled for something. But it was definitely office hours, getting my own time to work 3 or 6 hours. 'Cause I felt like I couldn't do 12 hours, and I felt like if I had worked, I would have quit medic school. So I chose not to do that, and I could have worked. I honestly could have. But I chose not to. I chose to spend time with my girlfriend and keep that, because it's hard without me not working. It was already hard anyways. So, Bree was really worried about a lot of people break up during medic school. We had 2 of my class. Let me not say that one. Actually. There were some people in my class that were dating, and they broke up during class, and that wasn't something I wanted, and it was hard. It's not easy. You gotta work on it. I could have been better during that time. She did a really good job of understanding what I was going through. She was there, especially those 24s. Those were rough.
Yeah.
Those, like Inglewood, I would just sit in the ambulance because we would get another call by the time we parked and everything. Like I didn't get out.
Yeah.
Only go to the bathroom in the hospital. For sure. I'm just saying that these are the rules you need to know.
Yeah.
But it's not easy for sure. I thought that the first 3 months, which was the first semester, was pretty. Like I was okay. I was like I'm okay. The second half was a little rougher. Cardiology was fun. Strokes was very. I needed to know that. I needed a refresher. Endocrine still kicked my ass. I think that kicks every EMS provider's ass. 'Cause, like, damn, Crohn's disease. Oh man, Addison's disease. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, dude. It's like endocrine. I thought of diabetes. Nah, there's a lot.
It's like how many glands are there?
Yeah. Oh man, oh man. Yeah. But no, I'm not going to sit here and say it was a breeze. It was hard, for sure, especially relationship wise. And I moved in with her during medic school. Love that happened. Having a great time. We could have waited a little bit longer. We definitely could have waited a bit, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna step
Well,
out
as
real
was
quick.
pointed out, I'm single, so I don't have that problem. I can work all the hours that I want. But I made time for friends. I did make time for friends because it was important for at least like once a week to see people who weren't my classmates. Like I personally was like, I made a few friends in medic school, but I still preferred my non-EMS friends. I think it's very important to have that separation and have people you can talk to who aren't in EMS who are going to be like, oh, well, that's a funny call. Anyway, here's my weekend. And you're like, yes, tell me about it,
Yeah.
But I mean, otherwise, like I did work part-time. I didn't want to stop working just because I like kind of staying busy. And I like to stay kind of like, I feel like if I stop doing like working, I'll like, I don't know, I'll like go out of a rhythm or some shit like that. That's what I did in undergrad too, is I always like worked part-time in undergrad too. Like I did something all the time almost. So I got used to that routine. And honestly, for me, paramedic school was definitely less intense than undergrad was. So I felt like I actually had more time in paramedic school than undergrad. But I think like the time commitment's big. Like the time spent in actual class is bigger than undergrad. But like you can definitely like budget it out, especially if you have like if you're like ATEC, for example, like you can definitely like do your homework while chilling between calls.
Yeah,
like that's definitely
we don't have we're not running crazy.
How many hours do you feel like you spent outside of class time on the ambulance, things like that? Like you're setting aside time now to study. How much time did you feel like that was? Obviously, going through undergrad, you kind of have a feel for how much that is.
I'd say like per exam, let's say like per unit, like doing the homework was usually pretty easy. It's like under an hour probably. Doing write-ups took a little bit longer, especially if like you delayed them, then you'd be cooked. They're all going. They're all going
gone.
to the bathroom.
They're all leaving us.
Liam, how long did it take you to write up patients? He'll get there.
All right, we're back. The thing, we talked a lot during our experience. You didn't get enough calls, sometimes. I know that was you're like, I'm worried about not reaching this. I was like, I can't remember what I did this morning.
Yeah.
Like really, like honestly, you'd have to write a couple bit of notes, write down the important details, like, age, chief complaint, same thing on our list, but also just like what I did, just trying to remember that.
Mm-hmm. But like how long would one write-up take you for the system?
So when we're
app.
actually documenting it, yeah, that would take me. I got pretty good at it. I didn't copy and paste. Don't copy and paste. It never works out. But I figured out what you do it the same way every time. It saves you a little bit of time. I'd write up narrative. We showed up. We had to write about what happened. We had to write vitals, and then what we did and why. Not necessarily why, but definitely what we did, and then how that changed. And I would say one write-up would take me maybe 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. And we're documenting like I wouldn't write down every call I did. Sometimes it was toe pain, and I'm like, all right. Mm-hmm. But I would say 7 to 10, and then take me like an hour or two, honestly. I'm down, but maybe not always that long. And I really started skimming down as much as I could towards the end. But in the beginning, I was really writing quite a bit. But it's not a full-on narrative. It's like they want 3 sentences for the most part.
See, Christ was very different. Like you had to have, it was like a whole thing where it's like you have a long list of things that you have to questions you have to answer for every single patient and every type of complaint to like fulfill the criteria for the complaint. I never got one bounced back to me for that, but like some people did because they just and we were literally told like make a template. Actually, for us, we were told make a template. You don't like copy and paste your answers to it, obviously, but you copy and paste like the questions so you know to fill out everything every single time. Because it was like how's their breathing, how's their circulation, like all the ABCs, like all that you'd have to write out. So it took like at least
we only had one guy checking all of the documentation.
Oh wow.
So that was a little bit, you had 28 students, they're doing one a week, and then probably a ride time. They might be scheduling more than that. So that was a lot, especially I know the 24-hour shifts. That was like you're getting them all at the same time. I know a guy that had something from February and May that it hadn't been approved. And if it's not approved, you might have to do it again.
Yeah.
Which definitely sucks. But it's just a process getting it down.
I'd say for me,
he has to check longer. Each call, each paramedic, each patient is. It probably took you a little longer.
Yeah, it was like it was like 20 to 30 minutes, I think, per one. It's like if you did it like right at the time, like right after the call. If you did it later though, it would take me hours to catch up.
Your memory goes.
So that's the thing.
That's why I wrote down.
That's
one
of the things that you learned though in medical school was like it's like because you will literally notice like how much longer it takes you if you like delay. If you don't do like the write up immediately, like day of or like next day or whatever. That's it. Like I
would write down what I was gonna write anyways in my notebook, and then I would put it on.
I was gonna say, you guys remember this stuff for more than 24 hours? After 5 minutes, if I drop them off, I don't even remember what I used when I have to restart.
It depends on the call. There's some calls where I'm like, I don't remember what happened.
We had to also include printouts of our calls, like from the actual like.
Yeah, all our stuff was online. Yeah, no, we would have a page. We'd take a picture of it, submit it, and then turn it in person too.
No, we have to print out the entire call.
That's ridiculous.
Print out the EKG, tape the EKG to the call on a separate sheet of paper.
You had to take the EKG?
Write it down. If you didn't get the EKG, they were like, why didn't you have the EKG? Sometimes I write, medic tossed it in the trash before I had a chance to grab it.
Dude, I'm like, AFib, trust me, bro.
If it's a 4-lead, you're done because it doesn't get saved in the system. So if it's a 4-lead, you can't reprint it later. So I was like, literally, they tossed it.
They're going to bounce it.
This was AFib, trust me, bro.
I literally had to start asking. I was like, they literally threw it out before I had a chance to use it. Damn. Like, which makes sense because I would have done that too. As a medic, I always throw out like that 4-lead. Like, why do I need this 4-lead? But like, when you have the student, it's like, what do I do? And like, I was just told, like,
and
write
they have
down,
habits. They work with the same person every day. They have their routines, and now there's a third guy in the back. They forget you're back there. I'm like, hey, where are we? I can't see the street name. Where are we right now?
At one point, they taught me how to turn on the radio in the back so that I actually knew what was. I was like, where are we going? I would just find out that we were going on a call based on like the clicking noise in the back. That signals that like the code 3 lights are on. I was like, okay, we're on the way to a call. I was like, what's going on? They're like, you're back here.
The important thing is to figure out how to turn down the radio because sometimes they crank that thing so loud.
But you just want to know what's going on sometimes though. But I mean, outside of school,
Eric?
It'd be like a couple hours, I'd say.
I want to pivot a little bit about something that I'm personally excited for about paramedic school, and that's rotations through the hospital.
Yeah, it was a good time. I had a good time.
I really want to hear a little bit about your guys' experience through different rotations. Like, I'm super excited for the surgical unit. I'm excited for OB-GYN. I'm excited to deliver a baby for the first time.
Dude, it's a whole experience. You're catching, dude.
I don't need to do too much.
You're not catching?
Playing wide receiver.
They let you guys catch?
No.
Yeah.
They said you can hold a leg up and then
see, like, I don't need to do too much, but in terms of like,
it was a cool experience.
In terms of being there, in terms of like things that you were able to learn, I want to kind of also ask about your experiences with physicians. I want to ask about your experiences with different nurses.
Good question.
What was that kind of dynamic like? Not only did you ever feel like there was someone not listening to you? Did you feel like you weren't heard enough?
Bro.
And I mean, and just simply
that's
from
the profession, buddy.
Right, exactly. And so how do you make yourself heard without sounding like you have an ego or without sounding like, hey, listen to me, I'm right, you're wrong?
Hey, listen up, idiots. Here's what's up with patient.
We'll tell them about Christ. Christ is, Christ covers most things. It covers trauma.
Yeah.
OB,
stroke. All of our clinicals were within the same hospital except for 2 of them, which was CET. Wait.
That's where we work.
ECT. Sorry. ECT. I told you. Numbers and letters confuse me.
Man. That's all good.
ECT. Electroconvulsion therapy. We had that because we had to do the BVM, ventilate the patient, and that was at a different hospital. And then we also had a different hospital that we went to for the ER. We went to Trinity to their
Okay.
ER
Oh,
because
sweet.
that was
Okay.
Southside
Love
Chicago.
Trinity.
So we got
Trinity's
like so it's like a lower acuity
Dude,
hospital,
we love
but
Trinity.
like
yeah,
we
it's
love
like a
that
St. Bernard, but on the south side.
no, I
Yeah.
love that hospital
That's a great hospital, dude.
because they
Great
like
St.
they let you do anything there.
Oh, it's,
they're like
it's not like that.
they're like, you're a paramedic student, ride.
Yeah.
Let's
do
do
everything.
it. Yeah, let's do it.
Let's ride,
Yeah,
bro. Like
no.
they're like, can you do this IV for me and this one and this one? I'm like, yes. They let you do everything.
Give me skills, you know.
But like, you just make yourself available. Nurses will love you if you like tell them like, hey, I can do IVs. Like, send
Yeah,
me
they
where you
need
want
to
me
know
go.
what you're capable
Yeah,
of.
if you tell them
Yeah.
like, hey, I can do this, they're
'Cause-
like, you're useful. Go.
Because your shirt says EMS student. It doesn't say paramedic student.
Mine says paramedic student.
Well, mine said it, but it was like a little patch. The back said
yeah.
EMS student. So, you know, sometimes when I was like, I would be at Northwestern. They're like, what happened to this patient? I was like, dude, I don't know. That's not my patient. I came here on an ambulance. I am not the EMT, you know, stuff like that. But no, CFD, a little different. As some of you may know, there's quite a few hospitals in the Chicagoland area.
Just a few.
Just a few. Just in Chicago itself. So we rode with Mount Sinai. We started there with IV clinicals. Then it opened up to ER and a little bit of trauma. Trauma was overnight. It's a 12-hour shift there. That could be done at Cook County or U Chicago. I went to U Chicago. That was the busiest night of my life. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But then, you know, a lot of it was down south. You know, I'm up in Albany Park. It was a bit of a drive to go to most. Like, they were like, you can do IV clinicals at Mount Sinai or what's the other Sinai hospital? It's on the south side.
I don't know.
I can't remember, but it was like real far.
Holy Cross.
Holy
Holy
Cross.
Cross.
Holy Cross.
Cross.
Yeah, Holy Cross. Yeah.
Shout out
I
to
was
the
like,
producer.
yeah, Holy Cross is, yeah, shout out to Vic. But no, Holy Cross is so far. So those were our clinical rotations for IV. And then Mount Sinai, a couple other places didn't count as a trauma rotation because there's not a specific trauma room, right? At U Chicago, there's a 6-bed room that is all trauma. And everything else is just like a 60-bed ER or something like that. So that was a cool experience. And then, you know, there's the ER rotations. You can do, like, you know, we could go to Sinai, Holy Cross. But they brought, it depends because, you know, there's a couple issues that we had going to certain places because they have to fill out contracts because this is, you know, Chicago, you know, the Windy City. They gotta get their money. So they opened up Swedish for us, but the stipulation for going to Swedish Covenant, which right by me, you know, Foster in California, give or take, is no, that's not right, pretty close. You know, you had to spend 50% of your ER time there, which we did 80 hours of ER time, and so I had to spend 40 hours there. So I spent all 80 there. I was like, dude, it's 10 minutes away from me. And I learned a lot.
Yeah.
Shout out to Klaus. Klaus? Yeah, Klaus, that's my guy.
Klaus?
He was a nurse that is also a paramedic.
Oh, nice.
So he knew what we needed to learn because he also went to Malcolm.
Nice.
Oh, see, that's
It was
nice.
a really
That's
good
nice.
time. And, you know, he went over the intercom and he was like, all right, guys, Liam's here. You know, eventually he had to get to know me, but I spent like 5 or 6 days with him. And he was like, all right, guys, Liam's here. He's going to do all the IVs on the floor. Announce it over the intercom. He'll be there.
Hey,
Shout
Nice.
out. He said, say the
Liam,
ER.
we need you.
Yeah, come on over.
See, I had to like body check the nurses out of the way to get that IV.
Yeah.
Because like the ER techs can do blood draws there at Christ, but they can't do IVs. But the nurses, like, especially like when a big trauma shows up, there's like 15 people in the room. Everybody wants to be useful. They're like, let me get the IV. And I'm like, oh, can I get the IV? They're like, no, I already got it. I was like,
Yeah.
all right. So you have to kind of, in some places you do have to hustle.
Let alone intubate. Jeez.
Yeah, intubate.
No, but there was something about Swedish that was kind of like the firehouses as far as being there a bunch. You know, the nurses knew me. The nurses got to know me. I was there a lot. They were there a lot. They got to know me. You know, shout out Micah. She was really cool. We had fun. But she was like, Liam, come do this IV. Even when I was like riding with one of the ambulances, she was like, hey, come do this IV real quick. I'm like, all right.
I'm not supposed to be here
but I gotta
today.
go. But okay. No, it was a good experience. And then at U Chicago, I had 5 cardiac arrests in 12 hours. We had 5 cardiac arrests.
Jesus.
We had a motor vehicle accident with 4 unrestrained drivers, and we had a mass casualty stabbing with 3 people.
Jesus.
So yeah, it was a busy night. That was my first time on the chest as well.
Yeah.
And then, you know, my next 4. But I also intubated there, which was a cool experience. You know, don't be afraid to go for it. You know, it's like babies. I always tell them when you're dry, warm, and stimulate, you need to actually like rub that baby.
Piss them off. Get them out.
Piss them off.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to hurt them. If you have to intubate and you're capable of it, they're either already sedated or they're already currently not alive. So you're not going to hurt them.
Yeah.
And that was something I was like, oh, you're not joking. And, I just went for it and went in. And, it was a good time. It was cool. I was like, hell yeah. Because I got to do it. And I wanted to do it direct, but the doctor... And the only reason I asked, because I had to ask, I was like, hey, can I intubate this patient? The reason I asked was I had worked the last 4 cardiac arrests with the same doctor. So she had, she didn't know much, but she knew I knew what I was doing.
Yeah. So
at that point, I was like, okay, I'm going to... Hey, can I intubate? Let me check with my resident, or let me check with my attending. And she was like, all right, cool. Because at Malcolm, you're likely to not intubate. You have to reach out and ask. And the main reason for that is not in the Region 11 protocols, which is what CFD practices under.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think that's also really important for our students to hear as well, which is you got to put yourself out there. If you don't tell these nurses and doctors that either are, because usually it's going to, I think we like to pair them with ER techs because they are at the EMT level and they understand what we're looking for as preceptors. Yeah. But I think it's important for our students to realize if you're not, hey, I'm Joey, let me do this, let me do that, I can do anything, like put me in there, then they're not going to put you in there. Mm-hmm. I remember I took my EMT through Elite, and theirs was Kankakee. Driving 45 minutes to Kankakee for a 12-hour shift.
Vista, dude.
Never. They sent us to St. Joe's, an extra 20 minutes in Joliet. But went to St. Joe's, let them know what I could do. They actually put me in triage. So every person that walked through the door, I triaged them, and I loved that experience.
That's some great skills.
I took the first set of vitals.
Patient assessment.
I gave my field impression to the nurse who was actually putting it into the system on who gets picked next, who's more.
Yeah.
So I think that's very important for our students to know. If you don't put yourself out there, you're not going to get what you're looking for.
Yeah. And I think Vic says that, he's like, you're going to get out of this class what you put into it. Like, and the same thing applies to medic school. Medic school is just a little bit more intense and a lot more hours. You really have to put yourself out there. I wouldn't have gotten a lot of the opportunities that I got. I ended up being really liked by a lot of my instructors in the classroom because I put myself out there every single time without fail. I was like, hey, I'll go for it. I might fuck it up. I'm not afraid to fuck it up. I'm here to learn. If I fuck it up, you'll show me exactly how to do it instead of the demonstrated.
And if you fuck it up, you're never gonna make that same mistake. I say the same thing. I said it multiple times today. Hey, you may have messed it up this time. You'll never ever do it again. Yeah. Because just facing the fact that, hey, you know what? I didn't fully understand the concept. I do now. He explained it to me. It'll never happen again.
Yeah. No, in the beginning of class here in spring 23, I gave nitro to a cardiac patient. Blood pressure was 90, or we'll say 80. I don't remember. It was definitely below the threshold. And Jack McHugh failed me for that. But I'll never forget that. Now I know that for sure. Yeah. Love you, Jack.
Now that you guys are paramedics, what do you guys wish that EMTs really understood about transitioning from EMT to paramedic?
Wait, can I just say one more thing though? Yeah. To your question about talking to physicians though. So that's something that I did more because so in our class we got physicians who came to lecture. To be completely honest, half of them didn't know what the hell a paramedic does. They're like, you guys don't have like the language line on the ambulance? I'm like, I have Google Translate in a prayer. They're like, what? I'm like, if my patient can't read Google Translate, can't hear it, and can't understand what I'm saying to them if I'm reading it out, we're not talking. We're just sitting there silently because
that's what we got.
So like there's a lot that they don't know about, but
there's a lot more resources that they have that we just don't.
But they do like to hear about it. They'll listen. There's some who especially who are very involved in the paramedic program who will listen. There's one that I made pals with. Like I would literally come when I was when I saw him in the ER, I would be like, hey, can I get follow up on this patient? He'd be like, yeah. That's cool. And then I'd be like, I intubated this guy. Can we see what happened? And he'd pull it up and just said deceased. I was like, oh.
Hey, it'd be like that. It'd be like that sometimes.
I was like, all right, that's a terrible lead-in. But he was like, well, you got the tube, and I was like, all right.
You did your job.
He's like, you did it. I was like, all right. Yeah. But I just think asking as many questions and just following, kind of being like, hey, can you explain this more to me? Or hey, I had this call. What do you think of this?
Ask him for EKGs.
Yeah,
the ER doctors have a ton of EKGs.
Literally talking to them about EKGs.
They're like, oh yeah, let's. This one's normal. This one's normal. Oh, here.
Nurses not as much of not as much of a resource for EKGs. Not because they can't, but a lot of nursing programs are also not very uniform, they don't really teach EKGs, and a lot of them will just be like, I don't know what's going on there. Like, I can see sinus, and that's about it. And they're like, they're going to tell you that. And it's like, fair enough. I need someone who can explain to me what's going on here, because this looks like a lot of scary squiggles. So that's like worth talking to the ER doctors. Nurses worth just like saying like what you can do and like being like, hey, how can I help you? Literally, sometimes they're like, oh, I don't want to waste your time like changing like just changing the sheets. I'm like, I'll do it. I'll help you. I don't have anything better to do right now. Let me like help you out. And then they like, they'll remember that and they'll be like, hey, Christ was a bigger ED than some of the ones that you're talking about. So that kind of hindered the process. But if you like got some nurses who you like kind of knew by name at some point, you can kind of just like follow them around and be like, hey man, like you got anything for me? Like I would like cycle around, like when I needed psychs at one point, I had to like cycle around to the psych area and be like, hey, anybody have psych for me?
Don't sleep on your psych patients, dude. I almost didn't get that quota.
Yeah, that's like
hit a certain amount because you're like, oh, I'll get them.
Yeah.
Nope.
So I just
nope. You gotta sing them out,
Just talking a lot, like just asking questions, like, but not also not being too much because
no,
sometimes
put yourself out there, but don't like dispense yourself to the point where you're just doing the ER text role.
Because one nurse gave me a review that said you asked too many questions. You asked like a million questions. You asked the same question over and over again, and I was like, okay, what did I ask too many times? And she was like, I don't know. She just asked too many. I was
but again, that comes to the point of
she might have had a bad day.
She didn't want a precept. Maybe
but
she
also,
was, hey, the charge nurse said you're stuck with me.
But also, hold on. Some of them nurses get a little like dollar bonus for precepting. And now if they're getting
paid more, I'm asking all the questions I want to ask.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
No.
You're gonna lose.
Like, to answer your question, I want to add something to that. Try to find a doctor that you might run into a few times. Like whatever hospital you visit the most, whatever hospital's closest to your ambulance. When I was at Swedish, there was this doctor that she was only a resident, but like resident doctor.
They're awesome.
Like, they're fucking there. That's sick. Got to know her, was not afraid to ask her questions. I would ask questions to Klaus where he was like, I don't know, let me go ask a doctor. And I was like, fuck yeah, let's go, I got him. But I asked about, it was like, if someone's face is frostbitten, does it hurt? Does it cause their face to sag? And does that hurt their skin? Because I wasn't, the not frostbitten part, does that sag off? I didn't know. And he was like, not really, but that was a great question. And then, later on, I saw the same nurse during my ride time. She was at St. Bernard. Good old St. Bernard. But yeah, and she was like, my Swedish guy. I was like, that's me. That's me. Yeah. She was like, what are you doing down here? I was like, this is where I am now. But yeah, no. It really depends on the person.
I think you're probably
it's not just oh, this is a doctor. It's like, oh, this person is willing to communicate. Oh, this doctor is kind of old school. You have to base your decision making on that.
I was saying, you'll probably have more of similar experience to me because St. Francis is also a hospital-based one.
Yeah.
Malcolm X is unique in the sense that it's like from a community college, based so they spread out to different hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Most paramedic programs you'll be mostly at that hospital. So St. Francis, you'll be mostly at St. Francis. So kind of more so like similar to me.
St. Francis has cool doctors.
Yeah.
Cool people.
I've never been there. I don't know. I don't know anything. All I know is that you're
great EMS room.
Probably going to be mostly
the smallest.
The snacks. Oh.
Yeah.
The paninis.
One of the toughest level ones.
Chicken paninis.
Yeah, there's some good food in there. They got Gatorade.
I thought I found Uncrustables.
Monsters.
And was like, oh my gosh.
Shout out to Masonic. They got Uncrustables in there all the time.
St. Alexis.
So kind of to piggyback off of that, not the Uncrustables and not the paninis.
Yeah.
How did you guys make yourself comfortable? I guess like radio reports are one thing in terms of like that we teach to EMTs and stuff like that. How did you find your rhythm in terms of in terms of radio reports, but also you're bringing in a patient and the doc goes, can you present this patient to us? And there's a room full of 15, 20 residents, nurses, physicians, trauma surgeons. Where did you find that you were able to find a rhythm? And like, was it something that almost looked like your radio report, or was it something that you find that like you got to, someone told you, it was like, hey, this is really good, you should kind of stick to this format or something like that? Do you guys have anything to say about any of that?
Oh yeah. No, I got a couple things. I got first radio report, Pablo, he said, like, I was in a Zoom meeting, like online lecture kind of tutoring thing, and he said, this is how I do it. And I was like, all right, cool. And then we had a practical kind of thing the next day, and I just did what he did. He was like, that was the best radio report we did all day. I was like, I bet.
This was your
format. And they were like, no, that was cool. But you're gonna fuck it up. Don't you you gotta go for it. You gotta call it in. You know, and you know what they want. Like the cool thing about CFD, you know, different regions of CFD do it differently. You know, north side, south side, did not realize how different they are, as far as how they operate, what the nurses want to hear, what the nurses need to know on the north side versus the south side. You know, like I go to Resurrection, they might ask, you know, what's the glucose, what's their PMS, and like on the south side, I'll be like, hey, we have an incoming stroke positive, be fast, and they'll be like, all right, cool, see you in 5, you know, or whatever, like give vitals or something like that. But knowing where you are, you know, I know my instructor, he was like, dude, you're talking too much. And I'm like, bro, I'm doing what I was told to say. So, you know, I cut it down to it, like, you know, I wouldn't recommend this, but this is, you know, for CFD, the important details are vitals, you know, age, chief complaint, signs and symptoms, maybe signs and symptoms, vitals, and then allergies, meds, past medical. And on the north side, one of my preceptors, John Kewick, hope I'm saying that right. He says nobody gets it right. He brought up wham. What happened? How are you feeling? Allergies, meds. He was like, that's it. Wham.
Wham.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think I was talking about this the other day because we previously just recorded, like, we were going over radio reports because we noticed a lot of our students take too many notes and then they end up getting lost during their radio report. And when I went over it with Nick, he said something actually very interesting, which I think is hard for me to do at the private ambulance level, because I visit every hospital in the state of Illinois and some of Indiana.
Yeah, dude.
But he mentioned, like, just go around the desk, talk to the charge nurse, see what their paperwork looks like when they're filling it out, when you're giving them that call information. Figuring out what their pattern is he was like, well, as soon as I figured that out and knew exactly what they wanted and what order they needed to fill their paperwork out in, I was golden. Never had them ask any questions.
Yeah, dude.
I knew everything they wanted to know, never asked anything, and I walked out.
Was Christ
CFD
unique
is
in any
cool.
way?
Huh?
Was Christ unique in any way in terms of how they like to hear their stuff?
I mean, they like to hear. One of the things that I have internalized that the nurse told me, they said, I don't want to hear a paramedic mispronounce 20 medications on the radio.
Med list is in the bag. You know?
I was like, okay, sounds good. So they basically, like, whatever's pertinent medication-wise, just like, if they're on blood thinner, say the blood thinner. Otherwise, it doesn't really matter.
Patients
Otherwise,
on
it doesn't,
blood
like,
thinners.
half the people are on metoprolol, half the people are, like, on whatever. Like, amlodipine, like, amlodipine, I don't even know how to pronounce it. Like, I just, like, go, usually I just go med list on board.
Yeah,
like if the patient knows their medication, I'll be like, my list on board. Because the
or if you
patient
have a
knows their
bag,
medications.
you know,
I bring in the
I don't
bag.
know what
I'm
I
like,
take.
here's your
Here's the
bag.
bag.
And they're like, what the hell?
Everything out of it.
Yeah, there's like 40 things. I'm like, all right, we got some vitamin B12s, we got some
like,
omega pills in here.
For most things, like, you don't even need, like, you don't even need to tell them they are on a blood thinner. Like, if they're not, it's not a fall or anything. Like, old people, like, did they fall? Did you hit your head? Did you pass out? Blood thinner? Number one thing. Otherwise, like, the meds don't matter as much. Allergies kind of matter, kind of don't, depending on, like, how long it is. If it's like contrast iodine solution, probably should mention that one. If they're a stroke patient
Yeah, if they're on
and they're
lithium,
about to go,
let them know it's a psych.
Yeah. Like, there's, like, things you can mention. Like, psych patient, like, have they been taking their medications?
Yeah,
Sure.
That's
a
another
good
pertinent
point,
negative. Have they been on their meds?
Yeah,
No.
have you been taking it?
Not
That's
for
a
the
good
past year. Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's like,
That's
I
why
stopped taking it because my blood pressure went down.
Ooh.
Buddy. You know,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
But otherwise, I just, like, and this is, like, the report that I do for all of the hospitals that I transport to now. It's just, like, I haven't had any issues with it. It's just, like, you know, demographics, so, like, age, ANO status, GCS status. That's a new one that I added in. I didn't do that at Christ. I didn't do GCS. Now I do GCS in the Region 8. You know, chief complaint, like, pertinent findings. If it's, like, you know, stroke, like, Cincinnati, whatever. If it's, like, a trauma, like, you know, pulse motor sensory intact, whatever, right? Vitals, treatment, ETA. Basically, like, or, like, you know, like, medical history.
Yeah.
Med list on board. No known allergies.
Yeah, but it really depends on your hospital. You know, like, obviously Malcolm is very unique in that you go to different hospitals, but, you know, St. Bernard, they're like, dude, don't even call. We don't even call for St.
Just
Bernard.
show up. We're used to people just
No,
pulling up
for
and
real.
dumping
That's
people out
what
of
they
the car.
say. We just show up to St. Bernard, or if they're on CPAP, we give them a call. But that's about it.
Yeah.
Versus, you know, like Res, they want to know, like, what they have for lunch on Tuesday. You know, stuff like that.
I love
you know, it's a little
Res.
different.
Oh.
Res is great. I love Res
Res.
too, but yeah, it's a different experience.
I kind of want to segue off of that because, you know, obviously starting paramedic school very soon. One thing I am really thinking about is what kind of tips would you give yourself? You know, at least me, I came off the private side of the world. Going into 911, what are things that you were like, don't forget this, or, I've made this mistake too many times with patients, and I get to the hospital and they're like, what about this? Or things that you had forgotten, or things that you didn't bring with you. What are some of those things that you would tell yourself, like, or tell me, I guess, really remember this in terms of now stepping into the 911 world? What are things that, like, you can't miss that?
Yeah.
If you don't know a medication, look it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
And don't
And
say
do that while you're riding with the privates.
Okay.
You got these
No,
med lists,
bro,
you don't know what they are. In 911, absolutely.
No,
too.
I have a very great anecdote for that where I had old person fell, hit her head. They're like, is she on a blood thinner? I'm like, ma'am, are you on a blood thinner? And she's like, oh, well, I take this thing called acyclovir. And
Oh, man.
so I look at the medic. The medic looks at me. He's like, is that what she said for the blood thinner? I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay. I was like, okay. Call it into the hospital. I turned off the phone. He's like, you know what acyclovir is? I was like, what? He's like, yeah, that's that's a herpes medication.
Yeah. Like, I take that for my
I was
blood.
like, oh my
that's
God.
different.
And that day I learned
man.
never say a medication just because the patient says that they take it for that. Make sure to double check.
Okay.
Never, that's the thing. I was just like, never. Another lesson to the point of like, if you're not sure about something, don't say that you're sure about it. I learned that the hard way. I came into the hospital just like hiding my face. I was like, don't look at me.
Who called it in?
Yeah.
The only woman in
one
the
in the
entire
orange.
department.
The one in the black shirt. Yeah.
I was the only woman in that entire department. So if it was a radio report with a woman voice, that's
They're like, we
that's
know
kind
it's
of
you,
dead.
Anna.
That's
That
kind
must
of
have
We
been
a.
know
Anna.
it's you, Anna.
Who's gonna tell her what that actually is?
No, he's just
Is
looking
this
at
a
me.
joke?
I became friends with that medic later. Like I still talk to
Nice.
him. Like he's a great guy. And I think that was an important way to learn, to be fair, to, watch them crash and burn every once in a while. He was a big fan of like, hey, just do it. I'll watch you and I'll tell if like you're about to kill someone, I'll tell you.
Yeah. No, they won't let you kill
Nice.
someone, but you can fuck up a little bit for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's like, yeah,
And
I'll
don't be
tell
afraid
you if
of
you're
that.
killing someone. But otherwise,
How
I'll let
else
you
do you
cook.
learn?
Yeah.
No, you're right.
You
But,
gotta learn by crashing and
I'd say,
burning.
I kind of hit the ground running.
That's something we
in a-
noticed here. Some people got to crash and burn, and then
I hit the ground running. To be fair, with like when I started working, I started working in 911 at the same time
Yeah,
as
you were
like
all over that.
transit. Yeah, but I'd say like it was very much like I was thrown in the deep end. Like I didn't have any like support system in there. It was just kind of like, hey, there's 2 EMTs. Both of you guys are like 2 months out of EMT school, and you guys are both kind of dumb. But your patient is dying. You're first on scene to a cardiac arrest. Ruh-roh.
Let's get it.
So I would say, like, in that sense, like, it's not as stressful because you have, like, backup system. You have, like, people back behind you who will, take care. And it's going to be also, like, you also are completely unprepared for when, like, you actually go into, like, calls on your own and you're the paramedic in charge. Like, that's completely different because, like, they have a system. They have a plan. Like, they might not have to explain it to you. Like, honestly, I'd ask them, like, hey, how do you guys, like, do your, like, cardiac arrest? Like, what do you guys, like, who does what? Like, how do you decide who does what? Because, honestly, like, just having a plan going in is so important, and that plan doesn't happen unless you communicate, or at least, like, you have some idea.
Damn right.
Like, whoever's lead on paper is at the monitor, for example. Somebody else is, like, intubating, airway, somebody else is CPR, somebody else is medications, right? Those are 4 different people already doing different things, right? So I'd say just, like,
Sometimes
asking,
it's
like,
2 people doing 2 things.
well, that's how it is. Like, that was one of my first full arrest when I was, like, a paramedic without, like, having without third riding. Like, so, like, my third day of orientation, we got a full arrest, but I got to be, like, I got to choose what I did because they were like, hey, we know you haven't done an IO yet.
Hell yeah.
Go, yeah.
Nice.
Cook. Give those meds. Next time I was lead, I was on paper. I was like, oh my God. We showed up, it was supposed to be, like, a shortness of breath. She's dead. We're like, oh, God, she's dead.
Yeah. It's the difference between being like, and then, all right, you hop on the chest. I want you to start drawing up some medications, prep the eye gel. We need that for intubation, possibly. I'm going to set up the cardiac monitor.
Yeah. But kind of
approach.
just like, there's like these things that you have in your head, and like sometimes they'll just fly out of your head when you're in an actual
Yeah,
911
dude,
scenario.
it's different,
You just have to kind of remember, like, hey, honestly, ABCs. Like, okay, I need to secure the airway. I need to, make sure the patient's breathing. If they're not breathing, I should probably take care of that. Circulation. If they're not circulating, I should probably take care of that too.
We're just EMTs that know too much, dude. That's it.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Like, I
really
think it's
change.
just-
It doesn't really change.
I think just like kind of like running through in your head, like kind of like the basic steps for every single call is like an important thing because you want to have those like solid things, and then at the same time, like, you're gonna make mistakes. That's like it's called a medical practice for a reason,
It's practice. And also, so do they.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen some medics call some rhythms something that they're absolutely not.
However, I would say to that point, don't point that out to them.
No, don't say that. Don't
say that.
Keep that to yourself. Keep that to yourself.
That's like an internal monologue. That's like your instructor like looks at like a report that you submitted and is like, hey, buddy,
like,
why
you
did we
said-
submit this like this?
No, I had a. They were like, hey, you said this was CHF and you gave a neb. I was like, that's what we did, dude. That's exactly what we did.
Yeah. Like, don't, like, try not to, like, you know.
Nah, don't
be
step
careful with
on
that.
their toe.
But
They got to sign your paper at the end of the day, dude.
yeah, but definitely, like, you will make mistakes, honestly. Like, as a student, even as, like, a new paramedic, you'll make mistakes. And just, like, be willing to, like, learn from those mistakes and, like, you know, review and move on. Kind of, like, that's one of the things. So, like, I think that was a hard thing because, like, I think people also don't like to talk through calls. I'd say, like, if you can talk with a classmate, an instructor, whatever, like, talk through calls. Maybe not necessarily your preceptor, depending on what happened in the call, but, like, you know, going through that, because that's one of the things that I was definitely missing on the EMT level, was, like, didn't, like, go over calls, like, review calls.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
I think call review is really
IFT
important.
or something, you know.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
No, but like,
Good luck, have fun.
yeah. No, I went from, I'm not going to talk too much, but just going from, you know, I went from IFT straight to 911, had no, like, because you did event medical solutions. So that was something that you got 911 with the EMT. I never had that, but I never stopped learning after I graduated. I kept grinding. And I know you're always learning something, even if it has nothing to do with EMS, you know, those podcasts. But you know, the other thing was I never stopped teaching, even here or at Elite. You know, when I was at Elite, I had left Superior and I worked there for a year, which at that time, it was a long time because there wasn't the retention. You know, there's people going ER tech, nursing school, doctor school, whatever. I gotta stop calling it doctor school.
Doctor school, baby.
I just say that. It's fun, you know?
It's too close to medic.
That's what I'm
doctor.
saying. Yeah, doctor school.
I'll tell someone, I went to medic school. They're like, you're a doctor? I'm like,
Yeah, no.
Paramedic school.
Yeah.
IC at the end is very important.
Yeah. No, but like, I don't know, just not being afraid. Like, you know, it's not even some crazy, you know, like I taught one of my fellow EMTs, not a student, how to put a regulator on an oxygen tank and open it up, you know, and not making fun of them for that, because that's something they didn't learn. They didn't have the hands-on skills that I did, or they didn't learn, or maybe they learned something that I didn't learn, you know, just understanding everyone's perspective and, you know, not being afraid of doing what you do best. You know, own how good you are at stuff, because Eric, you're good at some stuff, man.
Yeah.
You too, Joey. You're good at stuff, man.
Thank you.
Anna, you too. Look at you.
I was gonna be like, oh, I was just like,
Pink drink over there.
Good at
little,
stuff.
little tiger.
I think one more thing I really want to add is just coming from an EMT firefighter perspective. Anna worked for the agency that covers our EMS contract, Bud's Ambulance. I think one thing I've really recognized is the amount of support you have on scene when you switch into a 911. If you're on a 911 ambulance through a department, when the truck or the engine rolls out with you, like my job as an EMT on the engine is, let me grab my bag. I'm not going to touch anything in my bag, but I sure am going to help buds grab everything they need out of their bag. I'm set up the eye gel. I'm going to lube up the eye gel, hand it to the medic. They're going to place it, even though I could do it. But again, it's understanding that there's a much bigger support system than IFT. IFT is so spread out. Sometimes you're like, hey, your lift assist's an hour and a half out.
Dude, for
you're
real.
sitting in the back and you're like,
you're calling the fire department to
Like,
help you in.
911,
And we're
baby.
showing up
And they're
and we're
like,
what
we're not
the
coming,
hell?
dude.
you have a full team. You have so many extra hands, and I think that's one thing I'm excited for as a paramedic,
it's
is to
fun
finally
time,
just
man.
be like, hey, can you help me with this? Can you help me with this?
Yeah.
Give me I need a second to breathe and figure out what my next step is. Can you take over compressions for me? You know,
dude.
I think that's something I appreciate really on the 911 side from private, is assistance is right there with you, right there a couple blocks away, where IFT, you're like, damn, I can't wait an hour for this lift assist.
Stand
I'm
still.
It's like, dude, I was off 5 minutes ago. You telling me it's gonna be an hour?
I mean, I guess I'll wait.
Yeah, I guess I'll wait.
But yeah, I think that's really important. It's just the the
I'm gonna
extra
add
help
something as well.
that's available. Yeah.
As well to that, you're gonna do a lot less documentation overall in 911. IFT, there's the Medicaid form, there's the PCR, then there's your actual narrative.
The what form?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of
Yeah,
stuff.
right.
We
The
do at Elite.
refusals,
Yeah, the
the-
refusals. Oh my god.
We didn't
you gotta
have that,
call
any of
5
that.
hospitals to get a refusal.
Times have
5T.
changed, Anna.
Yeah,
Whoa.
There's
Times
4
have
sheets of
changed,
paper
dude.
now to get paid.
That's all.
Four?
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
because like
There's
when
that.
they officially call 911, now either them or their like
Yeah, well, the
they-
medical emergency of it takes precedence over the fact that Medicare needs to pay this bill.
where scheduled is like,
And
did
we're not
they need an
for profit
ambulance?
as well. There's that
Yeah.
aspect. The
Yeah.
other thing I wanted to add, not just the IFT versus 911, the EMT to paramedic, which you also asked, and we didn't touch too much. I try to explain to the students here that it's the EMT is really a flow chart as far as what you need to do. Not that the paramedic isn't, But EMT, you know, if this, do this, you know, if they're not breathing, breathe for them. You know, if their airway is not clear, you need to clear that out, right? If their heart isn't beating, beat it for them, you know, stuff like that. Versus the paramedic, you need to do some more critical thinking. You're like, okay, why are they in cardiac arrest? You know, what caused that? Did they overdose? Are there you know, do they have too much
electrolytes imbalance?
I was going to say electrolyte imbalance, you know.
Whoa,
what do they need? Do they need magnesium or do they need
Squiggly bad.
Yeah, you know, there's something called the H's and T's, you know, hypothermia, hypoglycemia, hyperthermia, and then, you know,
they're not dead until they're warm and dead.
That's right. They're not dead until they're warm and dead. You know, stuff like that. But like, the why is more important in medic school. You're essentially doing the same thing as 911 EMTs, but the why and the knowledge you carry in your head is way more important. And that's why there's more responsibility on you.
Yeah.
There's a lot more judgment calls that you can make.
Like
where
you
can,
be like,
if you can explain it, like, hey, I want to do this.
Yeah.
I like did this because this. They might be like, yeah, smart, cool, good job.
Yeah.
You can definitely like things that like would might on paper like just like over report might be like, oh, why'd you do that? If you explain it, like there's a lot more like you can explain like, hey, here's my logical like 1, 2, 3 thinking. Yeah. Versus like as an EMT, you're more so kind of supposed to follow this like checklist, and if you don't follow the checklist, they're like, why did you like follow the checklist, bro? Like
no, like I've called some radio reports as an EMT where they would not have spoken to me the way they did if I was a paramedic. For sure.
Yeah, like I had a patient who technically was an overdose, hit her head. I like pupil was constricted, but hit her head, so like was kind of like, you know, in and out of consciousness. I was like, okay, I'm gonna give her like maybe one dose of Narcan, maybe that's it. Like, we're not waking this lady up because like if she has a head injury, actually, like we have her in a C-collar. We don't need her like shaking around, like trying to like, get out of the C-collar, you know. On the EMT level, you'd be like constricted pupils, you know, give the Narcan. On the medic level, you're
1
like,
milligram
okay,
each nostril.
Yeah. On the medic level, you're more like, okay, is the respiratory drive impaired? No. SpO2 is good. Breathing fine. No increased work of breathing.
End tidal is okay.
End tidal is okay.
End tidal is a big old thing now.
Everything's looking good. I really don't want her like getting up and starting to fight me, so let's just keep her as is, you know.
And that's the objective, you know. We teach Narcan. It's not supposed to wake them up and cause them to vomit. It's supposed to restore their respiratory drive. Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah. So there's a lot more like gray space of like, okay, here's why I'm doing this because there's this other condition going on right now that I am prioritizing.
If you can explain it, it's okay. You know, like at CFD, they have to explain why they intubate someone now.
Yeah.
Because per protocol, they do it for fires and anaphylaxis, and that's it. But you can explain it. You got it. And that's anywhere. That's how much leeway they give you.
Yeah.
Not trying to scare you guys. You know?
You go first.
Maybe I am trying to scare you. I don't know.
Oh, I think it's a big responsibility.
It is. Oh, yeah. It's a lot of weight on your shoulder. What you got?
As we're kind of like nearing the end of this podcast, I kind of want to ask a couple like closing questions. What advice would you give someone my age who wants to be a strong medic, not just pass school? I think that's important because a lot of times I've heard, just get into any program, it matters just how much you put into it, but also like no matter what, when I pass a class and I pass the NREMT, I want to be a better provider in the long term, right? I want to be the person like, oh, I'm happy he's here to take care of my family member.
Yeah, I liked what Erik, you said this on your episode with Vic. You know, I treat every patient like this is my mother because that's how I'd want it to be. You know, while that is a great ideal, it's, you know, it's not always like that. But you should at least care. And, you know, Jack told me the day you stop caring is the day you leave this job. That's regardless of where you are, you know, but like at least care enough and show them some respect, you know. There were some things I saw with my time with CFD that I would not have let happen had I not been just a student. You know, don't be afraid to don't say it, you know, don't be an asshole, but, you know, be like, hey, I don't think you should have spoken to them like that or something like that. You know, hey, what's going on today? You all right? So, like to your partner even. No, not just someone you're with. You know, I've gotten really good at de-escalating situations just by talking, and that's huge. You know, you got to remember this is the worst day of their life, and I know you guys know that, but like just don't forget that. Don't forget to treat these people with some dignity. And I've seen that a lot.
I think one thing that kind of made me carry that into that conversation with Vic, during my interview for paramedic school, I actually asked, you know, if you wanted me in this program and you wanted to see me succeed, what are some ways that would make me stand out other than my test scores, other than, you know, how I perform an intubation? And one of the people, they told me the empathy, and that was
Yeah.
it. And they're like, we have some of the greatest students come through this program, you know, A students, acing all their exams, getting all their stuff done, and I wouldn't trust them with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, they're just there for the paper, man.
Right. And like,
That's it.
I think empathy is one of those things that just has to carry you through this field and in
That's
healthcare in
you.
general.
You know,
It's
that's
huge.
not something that can be taught either. That's
Right.
something you got to figure out.
Something
on
you
your
got to
own.
find within yourself, right? What would you kind of give to yourself, Anna, if you were to kind of turn back the clock?
Yeah. You're up at 3 a.m.
And
It's toe pain.
it's toe pain. The toenail fell off.
Yeah, toenail was clipped off.
I empathetically ask, why did you call us now
No.
instead of
Yeah.
earlier?
Or you'll get like, my stomach started hurting 3 months ago. Okay,
Yeah.
why'd you call us now?
That's one of the things though. It's like
You gotta
it's
say
like,
that nicely though.
Yeah,
It's kind of hard sometimes to say that nicely.
I mean, it's a valid thing though. It's like, you know what? I get it. Like, like with those kind of calls, it's like I get it. You can't sleep because of the pain, and now I can't sleep because of the pain too. So I deeply empathize. so let's get you to the hospital so we can all sleep. You know.
Yeah.
But I guess like one thing is like just always like stay like curious and like asking like and just like
Yeah.
reviewing, like reading up on things yourself and just like reviewing things, because sometimes you'll work with some people who who bring a patient to the hospital and they're like, that's it. Like, I don't really care what's happening with them. We just brought them. This is our job, right? I think that's a fair way of putting it. As long as like you do your things as a paramedic, you can kind of care to that degree. But I was always on the kind of like, I want to know like ABCs. Like, I think like making a contact and asking about like the follow-up of the patient is very important. You know, kind of figuring out like, hey, was I kind of right, like on the right track with like figuring out what's going on, you know? Talk with your partner through calls. Like, I think that's one of the things I learned as a paramedic and like being a paramedic is like talking through calls and like, you know, talking to outside sources like, hey, how would you have run this? You know, like acknowledging if something did go wrong and be like, hey, how is this? Because I think that you can never be a good paramedic if you always think that you did everything right.
Yeah, if you think you're the best paramedic in the world, you're not immediately.
Yeah, because sometimes I'll be like, hey,
you're not.
do you think we could have done better on this call? And they're like, no, we did great. And I'm like, I don't think we did great, but it's like, what do you do then? You just have to review it yourself. Like, that's when you go to an outside source and like you don't give any like information, like obviously, like any like patient information, obviously, but you're like, hey, like you know, in a very like generalized scenario, like how do you treat this kind of issue? Like, what would you have done your steps? You know?
Yeah.
So
I think that's funny because I spoke to Erik about this. Sometimes we have some lunch dates. I'm sorry, Liam. I promise I'm not cheating.
It's just because I went to medic school.
You just got busy. I had to move on. But I remember bringing up to Erik is I think one of my biggest things as an EMT is feeling very unsure of myself, if that makes sense. Either if it's just not enough hands-on time, not enough time actually practicing a lot of my skills. But I think after talking to Erik and talking to other people around me, it seems like that's a good way to feel, and I'm happy to hear that because part of me is like, am I ready for medic school? I haven't done much.
You'll never be ready.
I've given Narcan once. I've done CPR 3 times. No ROSC. I don't know what kind of record that is.
Joey, let me tell you what I had done.
Hey, I've gone
medic school,
ROSC.
or before medic school. I had put a nasal cannula in someone's nose and I had suctioned. That was it.
Yeah, and I think it's funny because
you're gonna learn, bro.
Yeah,
you're gonna learn there. Trust me.
I think it's funny because I think it's just me holding myself to the highest standard, but also I was like, damn, maybe I should do this as an experience, make sure I'm ready for medic. But I think the fact that I know, is this the right move? Oh, am I doing
the fact that you have a standard is a great sign.
Yeah.
You know, there's some people that are like, oh, I'm just going to get this paper and then I'm going to be a firefighter paramedic and I'm going to coast by doing the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Because you can do that if you want to.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I do think that becoming a paramedic did give me a lot more confidence, just because I have a lot more reasoning for what I think and what I'm like doing. You know, as an EMT, you kind of have being an EMT is like you have a lot of things you can use, but you don't do as many assessments. You're not as much of a clinician as you are a technician. It's one of the things that they told us in class.
Yeah.
And I think that like,
and
doctor. I was like always like also stressed as an EMT because I was like, oh, like I have this patient that's like technically an ALS patient, like.
Drive faster.
That's what I'm saying.
Diesel therapy.
That doesn't really change that much.
Like I think that
I'll still be driving.
I think that there's nothing that will really prepare you to becoming a paramedic than just doing it, honestly, because like at that point you're like, you get taught the skills, you get taught the assessments, you start operating on that level and you're like, oh, I can ask all these questions, and I'm like, wait a minute, now I actually am more confident in like whether I did or didn't do something, you know? Because as an EMT, especially like if you're like in an ALS rig, you're like, oh, I'm gonna let the medic do it. Now it's your license on the line. Now
you're
you're
like,
cooked.
oh damn, it's me. It's me.
You can't just be like,
Yeah.
they're the ones gonna get sued.
I'm gonna call ALS.
You both are getting sued. You guys are both done.
That's
You
what
know,
I think
the
is so
other thing-
funny. One of the students earlier, I was walking by Vince's table, and the student was like, "You know what? I'm just gonna call ALS for shits and gigs." I'm like, the medics waking up at 3 a.m. for a toe pain because you're BLS group. I couldn't imagine.
That's what I was telling the students. I'm
Dude.
like, hey guys, like first of all, like you guys can do a lot of stuff on EMT level. To be fair, like
Yeah.
especially
They're
like
like, oh, I'm gonna call ALS. I'm like, why?
yeah.
And they're like, because it
I
says
Like they have
so.
stomach pain.
I tell them ALS
Like-
crew is currently has food poisoning at the gas station. Think of something else.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I
sorry,
say the
gang, we
medics said
tried.
fuck you.
I respect
Yeah.
it. They're not coming.
Yeah.
So what's next?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that it's important to also understand how much you can do as an EMT too. I mean,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
there's lots.
No, they said in medic school, a good paramedic is a great EMT first. Because that's where it starts.
Because that's one of the things like the EMT pitfall is like, oh, I have ALS. I'm gonna call and upgrade this.
Yeah, like dude,
But like you're a paramedic, that's it. And like some of these calls are still BLS calls that you still need to do interventions on.
Damn
and if
right.
you don't have anyone to escate to, that's it. You're done.
Yeah.
So
you don't know how to put an eye gel in it
EMT
if you're a
stuff.
medic.
Yeah.
Whoops, first of all, but also it doesn't change what you know. And like
Yeah.
I used my patient assessment sheets from this class to study for my paramedic program.
Mine are
I
basically
just
the same.
used
Yeah.
my treatments that I know I'm supposed to do instead.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't change. The patient assessment is the same thing that nurses do. It's the same thing that doctors do. Same thing that PAs do.
Yeah.
That doesn't change.
Like especially traumas. Traumas are basically all like BLS level
Yeah, I
skills.
don't think-
like you don't do anything ALS on a trauma except for like maybe you give TXA
Yeah.
to like
Start an IV so you can give them fluids so that their blood pressure isn't 80 over shit.
the big clot giver medication. Oh, sorry, clot strengthener saver, TXA.
Yeah, tranexamic acid.
Yeah, that's too many.
It's a anti-fibrinolytic.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, the thing that there's a thing that breaks
Helps
down
clots stay longer.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
We're on the same
was
page.
made for
Continue.
pregnancies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Helps
pregnancies not
stop
hemorrhage.
bleeding.
Yeah. And
But,
then they figured out,
yeah.
that's pretty good for car crashes too.
Shootings.
MVA.
Yeah, shootings. Yeah. No, but back to your thing about EMT. I didn't feel ready. I thought I was not, and then I was. You'll get there.
Yeah.
You never know
and
until
like
you try,
I don't.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like I've listened to some podcasts with some other paramedics. I was like, I don't feel ready now, and they're like, yeah, that's not going to come until you do it for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's a quote from Alex Hormozy I like. He says, confidence is stacks of paper of proof that you have done something so many times that you in fact can do it. And I think that's something to live by. If you do something, you have to have a stack of undeniable proof in front of you that you can do it. I have proof that I can pass paramedic school. I don't know how great. I'm sure I'll be good as a paramedic. I'm sure I'll be great, but I haven't done it yet.
Yeah, only
So I'm
time
not-
will tell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Same with EMT. And you're not gonna be ready for medic school. It's new to you.
Yeah. I think it's funny because I speak about like not having the confidence as a responder, but what's funny is I just sat across from many students who I tutored or proctored or held Zoom sessions with who trusted me to give them that information. I think it's funny because no matter how many times I stand up and teach, I'm going to teach vitals in a week. No matter how many times I teach vitals, I'm still sometimes like,
Yeah, I'm like, was
Am
that
I
the
getting
blood
this-
pressure I got right?
is this right? Is this in the right place?
Yeah. Well, it's different. I could talk about it
Yeah.
all day. It's still different from doing it.
100%.
Taking vitals, like the time aspect of taking vitals alone is different from, what's the blood pressure? What's the heart rate? You don't just get that. You have to take it.
Well, I press button on Zoll monitor.
That's but I'm talking about our class, right?
Shout out Zoll.
Hey, shout out Zoll. Hey, shout out the paramedic
Hey,
monitor.
product
We love
placement.
it out here. Yeah, life pack, pretty cool.
Tempest, figure it out, please.
Yeah.
We're struggling down here at
No more
ATAC.
Bluetooth.
Yeah, we had a Zoll that was 20 years old. I was like,
Yeah.
it ain't even blue, dude. It's gray.
Yeah, I think it's time to retire that one.
Hey,
Yeah.
but at least you're not waiting for Bluetooth to connect.
That's
So,
crazy
wild,
works
bro.
though.
Yeah, that's
Because
crazy.
we have to pull the little like defibrillator off the back to actually print strips. So
Wow.
I'm frustrated on a daily basis. With that thing.
Gorgeous. I love that.
But one more thing, kind of to close this out is, what can me and Erik be doing now to kind of prepare us for these next? He's starting class next week. What can he
That's
do
crazy,
to prepare himself for this class? What can I do? I'm a couple months out, but what can I do right now to best prepare myself for walking into paramedic school on day one?
What I did was I reviewed my fundamentals as an EMT.
Yeah.
They're not expecting you to be a paramedic. They're not expecting you to know what lung sounds sound like. They said that. They're like, we know you don't check them. We know you don't check them on the privates.
Do you count respirations?
Yeah. What are the 14 if they're tired,
always 16.
16 if they're
Always.
chilling.
Always.
24 if they're hyper.
Yeah.
But just review your fundamentals, review your vital signs, practice it, practice pedal pulses, practice getting every kind of pulse you can. Femoral pulses is actually huge. It's a better finder for cardiac arrest than carotid because that means that you're perfusing the kidneys, and if you're not perfusing the kidneys, you're going to build up lactic acid, which is more detrimental. I know that was a lot, but just femoral pulses, very important.
Yeah, pulse is a big one.
Nice.
Because literally we had a DOA one time at Oakland, and I was like, I felt it, and I was like, I think this guy has a pulse, and they look at the EKG, hastily. They're like, dog, you just felt your own pulse. I was like, oh my god.
Don't use your thumb.
I was like, I gotta go. I'm dropping out today, man.
Yeah. No, but just practice your fundamentals. Like they're not expecting you to be a paramedic out of the gate. They're expecting you to be like an okay EMT that is ready to learn.
What would you tell yourself, Anna?
Tell myself?
If you were to turn back time, like I wish I would have reviewed this a little bit more stepping into school.
Go
paramedic
back
school.
Go back to college.
I finished college.
No, I didn't attempt.
That's tough business.
I didn't even attempt.
You didn't even attempt?
Oh, fresh out of high school.
Good for you.
That's
dog.
fair.
AMT's like a college anatomy class with some couple other things.
I went to EMT school at the same time as when I started college. Shout out.
I don't know how you did that.
UIC Chicago EMT.
Shout out energy drinks.
In 2020 during the pandemic.
Whoa, that's so long
before
ago,
the vaccine on the ambulance before the vaccine.
Pre-vaccine.
Yeah, we showed up to all the the COVID hospice, all the COVID hospice areas, and they're like, yeah, everyone's dead in here. I was like, oh my god.
Do I have to come in now? Yeah.
They're like, you just stayed in the ambulance.
Can you just send them outside to us?
Yeah.
Are they ambulatory by any chance?
But I don't even know because it's like there's so many things that like.
I trust you guys, man.
I mean, honestly, like
I do.
Med
funny 'cause I don't trust
legal.
you.
I would go over that honestly, just because like that was
legal.
actually one of the hardest ones because it was just like so like spread out, and they're like, it was just like the first unit's just a weird one because it's just like, hey, here's everything about like EMS that you kind of need to know, but also will never know, but also should probably know. Just go over that, and also maybe just look over the protocols of your local area.
Yeah.
Just because I worked in Region 7, so I kind of knew some of the stuff that was in the Region 7.
Yeah.
Region 11, different.
Way different.
With peace and love to Region 11, though, you kind of can go from Region 11 anywhere, and they're gonna be like, you're gonna have to learn everything again.
Yeah. No, one thing that I actually recognize with Malcolm, we were all kind of shit talking Region 11. There's not a lot to do. We only give 22 drugs. We're learning 66. What are we learning these for? Be glad you only have to use 22. That's a lot to recognize when to use them. That was something that we recognized. I was too. There's a lot of drugs going on. And also just, review your protocols. Don't be afraid to point out when they're weak. Everyone was not afraid to point out Region 11, but also the strengths of Region 11 is the fact that there's 50,000 hospitals here.
Yeah.
And like these protocols have to be written out in case you're 2 hours away. Like down south, like those regions are nuts. Because they'll close those hospitals 3 hours. You have to keep a person alive a lot longer than 5 minutes. So
Region 10 should definitely does have more protocols.
Yeah, Region 10's got some cool stuff.
Yeah, Region 8 also. When I came in there, I was like a kid in like a candy shop. I was like, whoa, we got ketamine, etomidate.
Ketamine's
I can give
great.
more
You
meds.
guys are gonna fall in love with ketamine.
I still have not given it to anyone, bro. Still have not given it to anyone.
I can't wait.
We had to do an intubation in the field in Region 7. We just gave a ton of Versed and a ton of fentanyl, and we were like, good luck, bro.
Wild.
Snowed him. Said good luck.
Those are the two worst
Got the
you
tube.
could give, by the way.
Yeah.
No, ketamine and
Etomidate number 1. For
I like
intubation,
ketamine.
number 1.
Ketamine, baby.
Ketamine not number 1 for
As an
intubation.
induction agent?
No.
Stinker.
Etomidate. It has less.
I love the beef. I love the beef.
I'm excited for us.
I'm
to
excited
like
for us
this.
to have a beef.
No, that's the thing. You guys are gonna develop your own opinions about meds, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah. But
trust your own abilities. You might not be perfect, but you're gonna do fine.
Well, I trust you guys for giving us some of the best advice I
Thank
think
you.
we could have asked
I
for.
don't believe that you don't trust me. I don't believe
No, I
that.
do. I really trust you. I know you trust me.
With a 10-foot pole.
With a, yeah.
Over there. I trust you over there.
so the people come to your house when you call 911.
Yeah.
Tough.
Oh,
Oh, you guys are gonna kill it. You're gonna have a good time.
Kill.
Yeah, I said it. All right, you guys are gonna have a good time, Eric.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a great time. Joey,
Thank
where are you
you.
applying?
kind of just applying.
What's your number
everywhere.
one?
Number one. I didn't have the best experience.
He's gonna be
Last
like, I want to go to
rotation.
New York.
Honestly, Malcolm.
Yeah.
Malcolm. I really
Yeah.
liked their head instructor. He seemed like he really had his heart really into it. I didn't have the best.
Who did you talk to?
Could tell you.
Was he bald?
Memory of a goldfish. No,
Christ?
he's definitely not bald. He's
Hey.
like 6'8", really tall feller.
Hey,
Oh,
Christ.
I like him
Yeah,
tall.
yeah.
Hey, we know
No,
someone
the
who's at Christ.
experience at Malcolm,
Just a guy.
Just a
as
guy.
far as like the 911 is no other. You're never
Yeah.
gonna get that anywhere else.
Yeah.
I'll say that. It's not perfect, but you'll get that nowhere else.
Yeah, I like Malcolm. I applied to
Yeah.
Malcolm with, and of course I got waitlisted and some other
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
We'll
that's
talk about
ridiculous.
it post podcast.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
But I think the reason why I like Malcolm is, first of all, the lead instructor. He was there on day one.
Yeah.
He met us day one for practicals. He was like, "Hey, nice to meet you guys. This is who I am." And I could just tell by the way he spoke about it and the way he talked to even students who. There are no stupid questions, but there are some crazy questions. And when the students asked crazy questions, the way he handled them, I knew he was like, okay, he's going to be a good head instructor. And I'm excited to be a part of this program. So they're definitely going to be my top program.
No,
also
good for
small
you.
class sizes.
It is,
which
yeah.
I also
28.
appreciate.
It's not crazy.
They seem-
we all rotate.
Christ is 30. It's not that much more.
Well,
and
no,
also,
because I
four
think they
people.
just they
We're
only took
broken up
15.
into teams of 6.
Yeah, they only took 15
Squads, yeah.
last year. They only took 15. They're still
Oh.
currently going.
Where?
Morton.
Oh, Morton Grove.
Because this is only their. This is only
Yeah.
their.
Yeah.
this is only
Yeah, they're
their
brand
third.
new,
This
right?
is their
Yeah.
only third
Yeah,
year.
it's a
No, we
small
I
have
think
a-
that's huge for me. Is like instructor on student
Oh,
ratio, which is
100%.
what I appreciate about
100%.
this program. Actually, is 6 instructors with 5 to 6 students.
Dude,
each.
it used to be
incredible.
6. Like there was 12 people in my class.
Which I would have loved that, but
We've
I think
expanded
just because of the smaller class structure.
Oh, for sure.
And, more people to ask questions to. More
Yeah.
people to.
No, you're-
yeah. That's what I'm excited for. But
Yeah.
also,
The
definitely
lead instructor
Christ.
for EMT is a little different from the paramedic, but
Yeah.
you're going to like Rick Connors. He's a bald guy. He's got a cool goatee.
Bald guy, goatee. Okay.
Yeah. No, the Rick Connors.
I can see it.
Yeah.
he's like I'm already
he's
on
a
board.
firefighter.
I can see
No,
it
but
now.
Rick was great. He answered every question without fail. If he doesn't know the answer, he's going to tell you to write a 3 to 5 page paper.
right.
No, that's just his go-to. No, he's like, he's kind of like your dad. He's just got like some bad jokes. He likes Star Wars. He likes Lord of the Rings.
Good. I like Star Wars.
But,
and Lord of the
yeah.
Rings.
No,
But,
but he expects high expectations, and that's because he's excellent.
Nice
We
guy.
have passed. I want to say I know my class passed 100%. Everyone that graduated has passed NRMT, and last year, the year before me, they passed 100% and a 75% first-time pass rate. And those statistics are because of him directly. They were nowhere near that, so
Good.
it's a good
Good.
time.
All right, guys.
I appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
This was fun.
It's been
Liam,
awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you,
guys.
Anna.
We got to
Thank
do
you,
this again
Liam.
for something else.
True.
Yeah.
What's our next topic?
Yeah, what's the next topic?
Post.
Run
Paramedic
it
school.
back.
Oh,
Run it back. like you
after
will.
paramedic school.
Yeah,
Same
Fire Academy
panel.
for me, maybe.
Yeah.
Looking at Fire
Ooh,
Academy.
wow,
a little bit.
yeah.
You're gonna
I
love
wasn't considering that for a long time.
You're gonna love the
Yeah.
maze. You're gonna love the maze because
I
that's
already
us
went, I
big
went through the
guys.
maze. Vince was there.
Oh, just wait.
I did the practice one for
Vince
the
has pictures
CPAT,
of me
and that
fucking
shit,
going the
for
wrong
me,
way.
I'm so small, I just slid under all the obstacles.
Dude,
they
I'm
were
a
like, you did
big-
that so
I'm a
fast.
big
I was like,
bastard, dude. I'm cooked.
Were you wearing the SCBA when you went
No,
through the
no,
maze?
we weren't
Dude,
wearing
the SCBA
I'm cooked.
changes
I know,
everything.
dude.
It's
I'm
a
huge.
McDonald's play place. It's literally a McDonald's. They opened up for ours for Prairie State College. We went.
Yeah, but you
through,
can't see anything.
You can't see. It's blacked out. It's a McDonald's play place.
Yeah.
I am I was 275 pounds with another 35 pounds of kit. That's
And you passed?
yes.
All right,
but
cool.
I have.
I'm just saying.
I have never.
I'm close,
I have
dude.
never
I'm close to that.
folded in that way ever before. I'm like sliding through this McDonald's
Yeah.
play.
wait,
place,
only
just
35 pounds of kit?
Well,
It's just
'cause
the scuba tank for the most part, right?
Basically, the
Yeah.
the SCBA I believe
Why am I
weighs
doing?
about
Why
15.
is it 75 pounds on the?
Because that's the
It's
trench
fifty-
coat,
Because then-
that's the
50
mask.
pounds.
But then
having all
also
your
you're going to have
gear.
your belt, you're going to have a
Oh.
Halligan, you're going to have a chainsaw, you're going to
Yeah.
be carrying a ladder as well.
Yeah.
See,
It also
at that
depends.
point-
We're just
I'll
playing
stand
Death
outside.
Stranding over here.
good luck, guys.
Good luck, guys. Yeah.
What's
Guys,
your
I'm
loadout?
gonna supervise.
What's
guys.
your loadout? No, dude, I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm excited for everyone's future here. We all got stuff we want to do. You want to leave us for Alaska and then become a doctor.
Which is
Alaska?
crazy.
Yeah, that's wild.
We're going to have an in-person Zoom, and
I don't even
he's
know what I
he's
want-
just
yeah,
going to
he's
be
like,
here on a little
All right,
camera.
guys,
with
so
a
this is what we're
penguin.
gonna do, and I'm over here like, all right, gang, ignore him. Yeah.
But yeah, thank you guys for
Yeah.
all of your insight. I feel more prepared than ever. I know Eric came in here, no questions. I had to type. I had to
He
type
was like,
them up.
I'm gonna dome this.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Congrats to you guys.
Thank you.
Keep it
thank
going.
you. Congratulations on
Thank you.
new paramedics. Now I'll ask you guys the questions. You guys are in charge. Just tell me where to put the 12 lead.
Yeah.
I want
over
a
fire.
right-sided. Can you do a right-sided 12
Yeah.
lead?
Hey, ignore smoke over fire. Grass over whatever.
I'll figure it out.
It says RALALLRL. It
Bro,
says where to put them, dude.
I still do smoke over fire and
Dude,
snow
I
over
just
grass.
read what it says and put it where it's
But
supposed
then
to
you're
go.
like, wait. The patient's right. The patient's left. So you turn
Dude,
it
I be
over.
doing that too.
This one. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you'll know if you put the EKG on wrong. It'll be upside down.
Because then your medic's
Bro,
like,
we had a patient one time whose heart was on the other side of their chest, and we had to do the right-sided EKG. I was like so hyped. I was like, whoa. And then it was sinus, and I was like, damn.
You're
So
like, oh, it's
lame.
normal. Boo.
He's alive.
No, yeah. You'd be like, I've had to tell so many people, I'll be like, I'm glad they're okay, but I wanted to practice some medicine.
It's not that I want bad things to happen. I just want to be there when
I
they
need to
do
be.
happen.
I want to be able to be ready to do it when I
Yeah.
need to.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right, guys.
Good job.
So many limes. No more.
Cut.